Locations in the comments, everybody. Give me your locations in the comments. Put your locations in the comments, everybody. We're going to get started in a moment. My daily motivation text just went out. For any of you who is not in my texting community yet, make sure you text me. You get my daily motivation text. As you can see right here, I'm signed up to my own daily motivation text. So as you can see the messages coming through every day. So if you want to be getting my daily motivation text, just text me at my number 305-384-6894. We send this text out every single morning, 365 days a year, 366 in a leap year. If you want to be getting that text me at my number 305-384-6894. As you are coming in, put your locations in the comments, folks, and we're going to get started in a moment. Let's see where we are. We are live on Rumble. Good morning, Rumble. We are live on YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. Live on X. Good morning, X. Live on LinkedIn. Good morning. My name on all four of those platforms, LinkedIn, X, Rumble, and YouTube, is at Dre All Day. At Dre All Day on X, Rumble, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We are live on Facebook Work on Your Game University. Those of you who are on Facebook, that's Facebook Work on Your Game University. We are live on Instagram at Dre Baldwin. Good morning, Instagram, and live on TikTok at Work on Your Game. So as y'all are coming in, shout yourselves out in the comments. Give me your locations in the comments, and we're going to get started. Today we are talking about the No Kings protests that happened. I thought they did this already, but I guess they did it again. No Kings protests just happened this past weekend all across America. We're going to talk about the No Kings protests because I guess some people in America don't want kings. I don't know who the king is, who this proposed king they are protesting against. Actually, we all know the answer to that, but we're going to pretend as if we don't, and then we're going to get into it. As y'all are coming in, again, shout yourselves out in the comments. Let me shout a few people out. Give me your locations in the comments, everybody, as y'all are coming in. Carol Ann Collins, congrats. First comment, Newburgh, New York. Murphy the Mutt, Dwayne Mitchell, Linda Gale, thank you for the gifts early on. Giga Dad, good morning. Murphy the Mutt is back in the country. Welcome back. Dwayne Mitchell, Detroit, is in the house. Bristol, Tennessee. Murphy the Mutt. Chris from Stockton, California. Tams from Greensboro, North Carolina. Shout out to Greensboro. Lacey River from Vancouver, Washington. Shout out to Vancouver. L. Johnson, good morning from Union, New Jersey. 57 degrees. That's a little bit better. 57 degrees is not terrible. It ain't great, but it ain't bad. Alejandra Valentin from Boston. Shout out to Boston. Susie Loriden, good morning. Checking in from California. Amina Zazal, good morning. Leah, good morning. Thank you for the gifts early. Marky Man from Sacramento, good morning. Can we like the live, everybody, on TikTok? We are at a putrid 1.9 thousand likes early on here. Can we get the likes up, please, on TikTok? Like the live, tap the screen to like the live. If you are watching on TikTok, we are at 2,000 likes. We do 100,000 likes every time I go live here, which is Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. For those who don't know, you want to plan your days around this. Usually, if I'm not going to be live, I'll tell you. But Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, we do 100,000 likes on TikTok every time. We're at 3,000. Tap the screen, please.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Marky Man from Sacramento, good morning. Bouse Man from Carolinas, good morning. Amina Zazal from York, PA. Shout out to York, shout out to Harrisburg, shout out to Lancaster. My hometown is Philadelphia, PA, so shout out to Pennsylvania. I'm based in South Florida. I'm not in Philadelphia. Leah, thank you for the pumpkin. I was at a pumpkin patch yesterday with my son. I saw it. I was actually not even going there. I was coming from somewhere else, and I saw it, and I went and stopped and went in there, and it was actually a pretty cool event. Leah, thank you for the pumpkin pie, and the pumpkin latte. That's a lot of pumpkin. Nikki checking in from Connecticut, and thank you for the rose and the gift gallery. Duty Bug, Louisiana. Cocoa and Peppers Adventures, Miami. Shout out to Miami. That's where I'm at now. Shout out to South Florida, always. Angela, Rocky Mount, North Carolina is in the building. Taylor Epperly from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Shout out to Tulsa. Nikki2592 from on Instagram, checking in from Ohio. Shout out to Ohio. Shout out to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Shout out to Ada, Oklahoma. There's several other places in Oklahoma I've been. I can't remember the names of these towns. But shout out to Oklahoma. Shout out to Middle America. Shout out to the flyover states. Vicky Veronique Bashan, hello, good morning. Alejandra from Boston, good morning. Danny said, did I serve in the Marines? No, I did not, but shout out to the Marines. Vicky from Virginia. Susie, Riverside, California, and the Ashanti Warrior. And I think I asked you this last time. Is the Ashanti Warrior, is that Ashanti the singer, or is that a different type of Ashanti? The Ashanti Warrior. Grand Gerardo from Hartford, Connecticut said, let's go. Let's go. We're going. We're going in a minute. And good morning. Ann said, what's on the menu? The No Kings protest is on the menu. That's the topic here today. Ingalls Conolga. Wait, let me get that. Ingalls Conolga from Philadelphia. Ingalls, what part of Philadelphia are you in? I'm from Uptown. Also, some people call it Mount Airy, northwest part of the city of Philadelphia. Shout out to Philadelphia. Amina Zazal, good morning. And said, you're a dedicated man. I always see you with the tie. Well, thank you. You catch me on the weekend, I'm not in the tie. I don't wear a suit on the weekends or after work. I take the suit off. I put on more casual gear. But when I'm on camera like this, usually I am suited up. But thank you. Ronald T. Wyatt said NWA. And checking in from the Bay Area. Shout out to the Bay. Coming to Miami in a few days. Shout out to people coming to Miami. Nevermore from Georgia. Susie said, how about no more protests? That'd be an interesting idea. Defina from Indiana. Tamuel Pombo from Porterville, California. And said that's Ashanti from Ghana. Okay, I don't know about that. Okay, I didn't think it was Ashanti the singer, but when I see the word Ashanti, that's the first thing I think of. Marcus said, how much did you pay to get into the pumpkin patch? It was like $25 a person. It was a whole event. It wasn't just a pumpkin patch. So the pumpkin patch was like the main attraction. Then they had food trucks and a maze, corn maze, and tractor trailer rides, and people walking around on stilts and face painting and all the stuff they do for kids and families. So it was like that. $25 a person. That kind of stuff usually not very expensive. Courtney, good morning from Virginia. Is price for families is usually what it is. People with kids. Defina, thanks for the rose. Ingalls from Northeast Philly. Shout out to Northeast Philly. My grandmother is in Northeast Philly. Let's see. Megan Newcomb said, go Birds. Yeah, go Birds. Did they win yesterday? They won, right? Yeah, I heard Jalen Hurts had a good game. Grand Gerardo, thanks for the follow. Sherry, 1967 from Michigan. And said, speaking of No Kings, no one said anything when they threatened jabs or you lose your job. Well, yeah, you weren't allowed to come out of the house at that time. Mama KJBX said, we are the USA. We don't do kings. So their slogan made no sense. Well, they would argue that that's exactly why they're doing it. So we're going to get into that in a minute. Don't worry. Osa said expensive. $25 is expensive. That's not really that expensive. $25 a person is actually pretty cheap. Do you have children? Do you have kids under the age of 10? $25 is, you're actually getting off pretty easily. And thanks for the lightning bolt. Well, yeah, thanks for the lightning bolt and the gifts. And thanks for the gifts. Megan Newcomb, they won. Yeah, that's what I thought. And I saw Jalen Hurts had a really good game, and the wide receivers are catching passes. So I think that made everybody happy, at least for this week. So the topic here today, everybody, is we're talking about the No Kings protest that just took place across several cities in America. Did any of you attend the No Kings protest? Put me in the comments, any of you who attended the protest. Anybody here want to admit that you attended the protest? You don't even have to have been a protester, but did you just go just to see what was going on? I did not. I did not attend any protests. I didn't see any protesting happening. But there are places in town that I know if there was protesting happening, and I might find out about it. But I didn't see any protesting this past weekend. Maybe I just wasn't in the right place to see it. But these protests were happening across all 50 U.S. states, according to what I heard, that they were happening all over the place. And said, if your man went to the protest, you have a girlfriend. Well, hey, they're protesting against kings. Who knows? We're going to figure this out. So they say all 50 states, there was some type of protest. Now we know that some protests are bigger than others. So if there was a protest in, I don't know, Vermont, it might not have been as big as a protest in, let's say, New York City. But all 50 states, and they said 2,600 U.S. cities had protests. Now it depends. What do you mean? What a protest? A protest could be 3 people. All right, 3 people show up with signs and they chant and they ask you to beep your horn when you ride by. I've seen that in South Florida, all parts of South Florida, from Dade County to Broward County to Palm Beach County. and it could be a small protest, or it could be a huge protest where you can't even drive your car, like somewhere like Chicago or New York City. So they say it took place in 2,600 cities. Did anybody go to the protest? I didn't say anybody say me. So none of you went to the protest. So there were major gatherings in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Houston, and they're protesting what organizers describe. Here's what their argument is: the rise of authoritarianism under Donald Trump's second administration. This is their argument, that Donald Trump is representing authoritarianism in his second administration, and these protesters are protesting against that rise of authoritarianism. So they're trying to stop Donald Trump from what they perceive is him trying to become a king. So basically what they've done here, folks, for those of you really want to understand this, they created a straw man argument. Strawberry cheesecake. So I'm giving the straw man award to my own points here. Is they have said that Donald Trump, elected as president, is trying to become a king. That's a straw man right there. So they said he's trying to become a king, and now they're arguing against the argument that they made up. That's what they're doing. All right, that's what the No Kings protest is.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
So this is what I don't even know who we want to give credit to for this. It's bigger than just Democrats, but we're going to give Democrats credit for most of this, because a lot of you all's favorite Democrats showed up to these events. So Bernie Sanders was there. Did y'all hear Bernie Sanders? Bernie Sanders has some things to say at the No Kings protests. Elizabeth Warren was there. Elizabeth Warren, that's Pocahontas, right? So Elizabeth Warren was there. She had a few things to say. Who else was there? Mehdi Hassan. He used to work at MSNBC. I see him on X every now and then. His posts pop up. He was there. And probably several other Democrats whose names I'm not remembering or not even worth mentioning. They were there. So let me see if I can find what Bernie Sanders said. Bernie Sanders gave some speeches at the No More Kings. This is what he said on social media yesterday. Thank you to the millions of Americans. This is Bernie's post. Got 3.2 million views. Bernie Sanders on X. Y'all should follow him because he is trying to push this concept, generally this concept of socialism in America. There's a bunch of people agreeing with it. New York City, y'all about to get a big dose of it pretty soon. Good luck. But he said, thank you to the millions of Americans who turned out in small communities and big cities all over this country to say loudly and boldly, no more kings. In America, we the people will rule. Well, he said no more kings. Now, I get the concept. I can give credit to the concept of no kings, meaning if you create the straw man argument, you think Donald Trump trying to become a king, you're trying to prevent it from happening. I can somewhat understand it. I don't understand it, but I can somewhat understand your moderate level of derangement if you say that. But he said no more kings. What king do we have right now? We haven't had kings for 200 years. So I don't know what the hell, 250 years. I don't know what the hell Bernie Sanders is talking about. But he said no more kings. So let me see if I can find, I'm trying to find here's Bernie Sanders talking at the event. Y'all want to hear what Bernie Sanders had to say? And they had all these speakers behind glass, by the way. Looks like they have all the speakers behind bulletproof glass now. I guess that's the new thing now after the Charlie Kirk thing and Donald Trump. Everybody stands behind glass. I think it takes away some of the impact of the words, as far if you ask me. But let's hear what Bernie had to say.
We're here because we're going to do everything we can to honor the sacrifices of millions of men and women who over the last 250 years fought and sometimes died to defend our democracy and our freedoms. In 1776, with extraordinary courage, the founders of our country announced to the world that they would no longer be ruled by the King of England. A king who had absolute power over their lives. They demanded freedom. And to bring that about, they fought a bloody war against the British Empire and the most powerful military in the world. Tens of thousands of Americans died in that 8-year war, but our forefathers fought on and they won.
It's Bernie Sanders.
In 1789, after winning that war, they did something extraordinary. They established the first democratic form of government in modern history. They said loudly and boldly to the entire world, no more kings.
All right, so that's what Bernie Sanders had to say. As you can see, he didn't have much. He didn't say much. Let's see who else had something to say. Elizabeth Warren had something to say. Let's see if we can find out what Pocahontas had to say. Elizabeth Warren. So I heard a clip from her. Let me see if I can find it and see what Elizabeth Warren had to say about the No Kings protests. And there's another
or any other king to rule us.
Bernie Sanders.
So Donald Trump, stay the hell out of Chicago.
In the city,
J.B.
in
Pritzker.
In Boston, every day is no King's Day. Donald Trump is not a king. Donald Trump is a bully.
Trump does think that he's a king, and he thinks that he can act more corruptly with the
I don't know who that is.
President Trump, we don't want you or
Bernie
any other
Sanders
king
again.
to rule us.
All right, so I just gave y'all a few. That was just a compilation of a few of your favorite Democrats and leftists and anti-Trumpists coming in to speak. How you doing? You okay? All right, you can sit there quietly. So they are, again, organizing against, allegedly, the straw man of Donald Trump's authoritarianism, him trying to be a king. So there were progressive coalitions. The ACLU has something to do with this. And when you hear that these coalitions are involved, what that means is they put money behind this. So don't think that this is just some grassroots thing that people just organically showed up for these protests. No, there's money behind these things. ACLU is involved. Indivisible is another organization I never heard of. Another organization called Move On. I also never heard of them. And they adopted this slogan, no kings, no crowns, and no thrones. And their signal is opposition to executive overreach. So they're calling Donald Trump's executive overreach, their argument that he's overreaching. They're calling this him being a king. Militarized domestic enforcement. This is sending the National Guard in the cities with reason and also sometimes with support of governors. Republican-led National Guard deployments, I just mentioned, in urban centers. While the White House responded, did y'all see the video that Donald Trump put out? Not Donald Trump, the White House, excuse me. They put out a video of Donald Trump getting in a jet plane. And he was flying over these alleged protests, and they dumped a brown substance. Some of you may have seen this as mud. Some of you may have seen it as poop. Did y'all see that video? Of the video the White House put out of Donald Trump flying a plane. He pushes a button, and a brown substance gets dumped on. Let me see if I can find it. The White House video. White House, where they posted a video of Donald Trump flying on a plane during the No Kings protests. And he pushes a button and it dumps a brown substance on some people protesting at the No Kings protests. And this kid, Harry Sisson, was one of the people in the video, and it dumps all the stuff right on their heads. I'll see if I can find the video. If y'all haven't seen the video, look it up. Let me see if I can find it. White House. Let me just look at the White House accounts, because I am following the White House on X. And no, not there, not that. No. Maybe I'll find it while we're talking. But the White House put out video just making fun of them, dumping a brown substance on the No Kings protesters and Democratic influencers, and it intensified the entire spectacle. So the White House didn't ignore this. And the one thing you can appreciate about Donald Trump, he doesn't really ignore stuff. He addresses things. Now, this intensified the whole thing. Now, this mass turnout, social media hype, the critics and the participants themselves, they question what the tangible end game is now that Trump is in the second term. There's no immediate election coming. I've said this many times already. Donald Trump is not running for election again. All right, he's already in his second term. You're going to be president twice. He's already damn near 80 years old, or he's close, either over 80 or close to 80. I believe he's 79 years old. He's way up there in age. And the argument here comes right back to the same, or the question really, comes back to the same question, which I'm going to ask in a minute. So it suggests this whole movement is much more symbolic and strategic. There's nowhere to go. And this could create momentum fatigue for the political left. I think that's already happened. And just general backlash if there's no concrete outcome that has come to follow this. So let me introduce myself, then we'll get into bashing the political left and bashing the Democrats and bashing the Trump opposition, because they look like and sound like idiots right now. Not because I'm a Trump supporter, because I'm not because I'm MAGA, because I'm not because I'm a Republican or a conservative, because I'm not any of those either. I have no political labels. I have no political affiliation. I've never been paid $1 by any political party. If I have, tell me where they sent the money, because I didn't get it. I'm just going to tell you how I'm seeing things objectively and logically from my perspective as a person who is not so much bought into any political party or any politician, period. But let me introduce myself first before we get into that. For those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete, author of a few books. I've done a few TED Talks. I run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Our job here is to help you command the room. When you have command in the room, that makes your speech land more easily, makes your sales happen without you having to talk, allows you to influence and persuade people without using words, so that when you do go into actually doing things and saying things, the job is already pretty much 85% done. You want to learn more about that, text the word power to the number that you see in my bio. You can get into our Power Presence Protocol program, where we teach you how to do this, which is commanding the room without saying a single damn word. Anyway, get into the topic here today. This comes right back to what we've been saying about the Democratic Party since the 2024 election. Actually, after the 2024 election, which was almost about a year ago, we're almost up to a year ago from that election, the Democratic Party needed to regroup. We all understand this. They need to regroup. They just took a loss. They lost the most important election, which is the presidential one. Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump got slaughtered in all 7 swing states. And after that election, of course, there was about 2 months of everybody responding to what happened in the election. So you had, let's say, all of November, all of December. Donald Trump gets installed for his second term in late January 2025, this year, about almost exactly 9 months ago. I said, okay, this is my prediction. And I was 100% wrong in this prediction, but I'm going to tell you what my prediction was. I thought, I figured, I theorized, I hypothesized that the Democratic Party, now seeing that Trump has already won, now knowing that he has 4 more years, knowing that someone new must be the nominee for the Republicans in 2028. So you had Trump 3 straight elections. So he's been there 2016, 2020, 2024. So like forever since we had a a Republican nominee that wasn't Donald Trump. The last one was Mitt Romney in 2012. So it's been a long time. So it's going to be 16 years since we had a Republican nominee that was not Donald Trump by the time you get to 2028. That is a long time. I figured the Democratic Party would say, okay, Trump won. Let us step back. Let's regroup. Let's come up with a new strategy. Let's figure out what our identity is, because our identity for the last 10 years has been anti-Trump, anti-Trump, anti-Trump. Anything Trump does, we just get on the other side of it and argue that side, whatever it is, even if it sounds stupid. Let's just do that. I figured that's what the Democrats would do, because that just sounds logical, smart, and strategic. I was 100% wrong. What the Democrats have done since January of this year is they have tripled down on anti-Trump. Anything Trump says or does is just going to go against that. This is not a strategy. This is being reactive. It's not being strategic. Strategy steps back and you make decisions based on your plan. Reaction is you look at whatever the other guy or the other side is doing and you just respond based on what they do. So they're basically playing you like a fiddle, so to speak. So everything that Donald Trump says or does, the people who oppose him, we'll just call them the Democrats or the political left, they just go against that. So if Donald Trump says oxygen is good, they would suffocate themselves. Donald Trump says drinking water is a smart thing, they would decide to go on a water strike. All right, this doesn't make any sense. This is what the Democratic Party has been doing. This No Kings protest, I thought they did this several months ago. Did anybody tell me, didn't they do this? Like, it's October. Didn't they do something like this in like June or July? Wasn't there a No Kings protest in the summertime earlier this year? Didn't they do the same thing? Or I just have a bad memory? I thought I saw this before. Yeah, they did this before. I think I did a live on it back then. No Kings protest. What the hell are they talking about? No Kings. He got elected in an election that y'all lost. Now you're doing a protest against No Kings. The problem for the Democratic Party is it's been damn near a year and they have not come up with a new strategy. And I did an intervention for the Democrats about 3-4 weeks ago. I did a live where I offered a free consultation to the Democrats. And in my free consultation, y'all can find this video on my YouTube channel. The replays to all these lives are always on my YouTube. YouTube is at Dre All Day. I told the Democratic Party that you all need to stop just reacting to everything Donald Trump does, because that means he's controlling the frame. And if you want to control a conversation, the most important thing you control is the frame, not the words, but the frame. Donald Trump's the frame for every politician for the last 10 years. You all got to stop doing that. And instead, how about you figure out who you are? Who is the Democratic Party? What is your form? What is your strategy? What are you about? What do you represent? What are you not about? And what are you offering to the American people such that they can proudly say, I am a Democrat because the Democrats are about these things, and list out what you're about. That's what the Democrats should do. That's what I thought the Democrats would do after January of 2025. After Trump got sworn in, They said, all right, he won. Yes, we're going to push back against him. If he says something we disagree with, yes, you come out and you say something. That's normal politics. But our entire game can't be we're just going to go against Donald Trump all day and that's all we're going to do. That's what they're doing now. Whatever Donald Trump does is just go against it. This is not even a strategy. You can't even call this bad strategy. It's not even a strategy. Calling it bad strategy is a compliment. There's no strategy here. So here we are, October of 2025. The next election of consequence, well, the local elections, of course, but the next election of consequence for the Democrats federally is about a year from now, right? The midterm elections, 2026. What are the Democrats about right now today? Somebody answer in the comments. What are they about? I'm asking this question. What are the Democrats about? What do they represent? Where do they stand? What is their form? What is their substance? If somebody had to explain the Democratic Party to someone who knows nothing, how would you describe them right now? Because they have a year. Within a year, they're going to be asking you to vote for them. So what are they about? Because a year from now, there's a bunch of Democrats who are up for election, House of Representatives and the Senate. Those are the two sides that make up Congress. And they are going, and Congress are the people who make the laws. If any of you really want to get engaged in politics, you need to pay attention to them, not the president. It's Congress. Those are the people who you really need to be watching. A bunch of Democrats and Republicans are going to be asking Americans to vote for them so that they can go work in Congress. And that's where the money gets allocated. That's where the bills that become laws get made. That's where the real arguments that affect on the federal level, the things that could affect you the most happen in Congress at the Capitol building, not at the White House with the president. A lot of people don't understand that. And these people, the lawmakers, the money allocators, your Congress people, they're going to be asking for your vote. So what are you about? You're a Democrat. Who are you? What are you about? What do you represent? What are you bringing to the table? Why should I vote for you? The Democratic Party, let me back up. A Democrat who is running for the House of Representatives or running for Senate, yes, they can have their own platform and their own argument. So whoever's up for election next year, whatever Democrat, of course, you have your own thing that you say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm going to do this, and here's what my opponent is bad, and here's why I'm good, and et cetera, et cetera. We know that individually they all got their thing. The issue, though, is they still have that letter D next to their name in parentheses, which stands for Democrat. And the general point here is the average American voter looks at the Democrats as a group and they look at the Republicans as a group. So if you have the R next to your name, the average voter is looking at you as a member of the Republicans. How do I feel about the Republicans as a whole? What you say individually is less important than how I feel about the group. Because we know a lot of voters vote either Democrat or Republican. And if they're independent, they tend to look at the group first, then they look at the individual person. So any Democrat who's going to be running in 2026, what is the party about? There's no answer to the question. All right. When I asked most of you, all right, your answers were, I think some of you are being truthful, but I see war, anti-Trump, socialism, et cetera, et cetera. There's nothing solid that they're standing on. They're not standing on anything solid. The Republican Party is at least standing on something solid. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but they're standing on solid things, all dictated by President Trump. Dictated may be the worst word to use here, but you get what I'm saying, which is we're going to enforce our borders and immigration laws, which I don't understand how any American have a problem with that. We are going to focus on America first, which is the citizens who live here. Keyword citizens who live here. We're going to focus on helping them out more than we help anybody else out. We're going to fix and improve the economy in some way, shape, or form. Again, you may not think that this is happening, but this is the plan. They're going to fix the economy, and we're going to take our nose out of the business of other countries. Other countries have wars and conflicts going on. If we are involved, we are going to get out of being involved so that we can focus on these other three things. Our economy, because our money is going to the war efforts that have nothing to do with us. We're going to focus on America first so that we're no longer sending our resources via Congress to other countries for their war efforts, and enforcing our borders, keeping people out of here who don't belong here. So again, we can focus on America first. So every point reinforces the other point. The Republican Party has a platform. Again, you don't have to agree with the platform. You may not think that they are executing effectively on the platform, but there is a platform. That's the point. What is the Democratic platform right now? What is their platform? The closest thing the Democrats have to a platform right now is, I would guess you would have to say, you got two Democrats on tour That's Mr. Sanders and his daughter, Mrs. AOC, Sandy Cortez, also known as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. They're on tour talking about, what are they talking about? Fighting the oligarchy. And then you got Zohran Mamdani, because he's running for mayor of the biggest city in the country, New York City. Looks like he's going to win. And he is an outward, clear, I'm waving the flag and making sure you see it, socialist. Some people criticize Barack Obama being a socialist, but Barack Obama was a socialist. He was like a covert socialist. He was doing it quietly. Zohran Mamdani's coming out and actually telling you. And it looks like he might win and become mayor of the biggest city in the country. These are the Democrats with the biggest platforms right now. You got Kamala Harris on tour explaining to you why she lost. And other than that, she ain't really saying much. This is what the Democrats have right now. If you are a Democratic voter, if you are an anti-Trumper listening to this right now, I will say this for the 477th time this year. The Democratic Party is in trouble right now. Y'all have a big problem. The big problem is you have no shape, no form. Who are you? What are you about? I understand being anti-Trump in 2016 and in 2020 because he could possibly win again, but not now. He can't win again. He's in there. He's doing what he's going to do. Now, who are you? Because in 2026, there must be an answer to this question. Otherwise, how are you going to ask Americans to vote for you? I don't think, well, we're going against Trump is a good enough answer anymore. That was proven last November. We're going against Trump worked one time, 2020, for Joe Biden. If you even want to consider that working, because, again, what actually happened in that election, we'll never know. So maybe it worked one time. Maybe. Put an asterisk next to that one. 2024 clearly did not work. We all can agree to that. This anti-Trump thing, I think we got fatigue. This is anti-Trump fatigue. The Democrat Party is not recognizing this. And I'm going to explain to you why they don't recognize it in a moment. This is anti-Trump fatigue, which is what? You've been saying the same message over and over and over again. We heard you the first 3,000 times you said it. Now people are like, okay, we get it. You don't like Donald Trump. I understood. Registered. We heard you. Now, what are you about? So you can't sustain forever on the anti-message. Eventually, you got to stand on something. And this is where the Democrats are faltering. Now, why are they faltering? Because the people who represent the Democratic Party, these people are allegedly smart, right? These people went to college. Most of them have college degrees. A lot of them have advanced degrees. A lot of them have law degrees. Some of them have PhDs. So these are not stupid people, again, based on the frame that many of you use. Many of you use this. It's a false frame, but many of you believe in this frame that if you went to college and you got a degree, that must mean that you're smart, intelligent, and capable. I don't agree with that frame, but many of you agree with it. So let's just go with that. And I'm a holder of a college degree, by the way. But many of these people are supposed to be smart because they went to school, right? So how can all these intelligent, smart, capable people, and these are not some 20-year-olds. These people are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, 80s, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders. How are these people not able to logically see that they need to have some shape or form if they're going to ask people for their votes? I'm going to tell you why. Two reasons. One is the reason that's about them. The other is about their supporters. One is when you are emotionally engaged or emotionally triggered, let's just say, and these people have been triggered for 10 years. It's hard to keep somebody emotionally triggered for 10 years straight, but Donald Trump has done it. When people are emotionally triggered, logic goes out of the window. So logic goes out the window when you're emotionally triggered. Emotion overpowers logic 8 days a week, 25 hours a day, twice on Sunday. And people are so emotionally triggered by Donald Trump that they can't make logical decisions. So they just keep focusing on anti-Trump, 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 even though logically they should understand it's time for us to represent what are we about so that we're not just talking about him all the time. Because even if you're anti-Trump, what are you talking about? You're talking about Trump. See, this is why he's controlling the frame. Even if you think they are effectively bashing him, look at Gavin Newsom, the current governor of California. If the election was right now for the Democratic primary, he would win. He would be your representative, Democrats. He'd be your representative for president in 2028. If the primary election was right now, he would win. He would beat Kamala, and nobody else is close. Gavin Newsom, you go on his X account. I did this a couple weeks ago. We're going to go on it right now so I can prove to you that I'm right. Gavin Newsom, let's pull Gavin Newsom's account up. And I'm following Gavin. Y'all should follow these folks so y'all know what these folks are doing. So Gavin Newsom, his last post is a pinned post. It says, Patriots vote yes on 50. I don't know what that means, but it says no Kings, yes on 50, whatever 50. I don't know what 50 is he's talking about. Maybe it's some vote that's happening in California. I'm guessing that's the redistricting thing that they got going on in California. And if you Californians know about that, that's his pinned post. His next post, I'm just going to look at the last 5 to 10 posts Gavin Newsom posts, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Pay attention. So next one is Aaron Rupar posted a video. This is a guy who just grabs these videos and is Trump talking, and he cuts up videos of Trump saying stuff that tries to make Trump look bad, tries to frame him as looking bad, and we know it's pulled out of context. And then he posts it, and then people respond to it. So that's his hustle. Gavin Newsom quoted this post, and "Make America Great Again equals import the beef." This is what Gavin Newsom is saying. Just note what he's talking about. Next one is Newswire made this post. It says San Francisco's homicide rate is on track to be the lowest since the 1950s. Gavin Newsom put CC and tags Donald Trump. So that's 3. Pay attention. Here's the next one. Fox News made a post that a piece of metal shrapnel hit a California highway patrol car after an explosive ordnance detonated prematurely during the Marine Corps 250th anniversary event. No injuries were reported. Gavin Newsom says, this is the type of explosive that detonated prematurely. The best Fox News can come up with is concern. This could have killed someone. So he talked about Fox News. Okay, so I guess he gets a point there. Then he says, he takes a screenshot of the headline of an article that says, artillery shell detonated over Interstate 5 during Marine celebration in California's say. I already brought that up. And he says, his response is, he quote tweets, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance put lives at risk to put on a show. If you want to honor our troops, open the government and pay them. So there's 4 out of 5. I just looked at his last 5 posts. Let's do 2 more. Next, ACYN. This is a clip from a conversation Donald Trump is having where he says something about San Francisco. We're going to make San Francisco great again. Gavin Newsom quote tweets that. He says, fact check. Nobody wants you here. You will ruin one of America's greatest cities. Okay, so that's 5 out of 6. Are y'all paying attention? 1 more. Gavin Newsom. He quote tweets Rupar again. This is Mike Johnson talking. And Mike Johnson is saying, I think Donald Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. Gavin Newsom quotes and says, the government is shut down. Troops might not get paid. Healthcare is about to disappear for millions. And Mike Johnson is spending his time collecting signatures for Trump's Nobel Peace Prize. So that's the last 7 posts of your frontrunner for 2028 election, Gavin Newsom. Out of those 7, 6 of them are about Donald Trump. 1 of them is about Fox News. This is your nominee for 2028, ladies and gentlemen. And I just did that in real time. What are the Democrats about? Your nominee for 2028. Oh, but some of you may think Kamala might win. Let's see what Kamala Harris has to say. This will be fun. All right, what does Kamala Harris have to say? Now, Kamala Harris is on book tour, so I think that's what she's been talking about. And let's see. So her last post was talking about curing breast cancer because her mom, I guess, had breast cancer. Her mom was a breast cancer researcher. Then she said, here's what Kamala's second post said. Tomorrow, in our country, the power is with the people. Tomorrow, this is 2 days ago she posted this, I encourage you to join your neighbors in peaceful protest at a No Kings event. So she's telling people to go to a No Kings protest. Okay, so that's 1 out of 2. Then before that, she said, people of Chicago know we have some deep work to fight for the future of our generation. We're in it together. I'm grateful to Michelle Morris for meaningful conversation in Durham. I don't know who Michelle Norris is. She's some podcaster. So I guess Kamala was on her podcast, whatever that's worth. Then, so Kamala hasn't been posting that much. Then she was in Durham. We talked about Kamala last week, so there wasn't really much here. Oh, by the way, in Birmingham, Alabama, Charlamagne the God, y'all know Charlamagne, right? Charlamagne was the host of Kamala's book tour event in Birmingham, Alabama. How y'all feel about that? Charlamagne the God was the host for Kamala's promo book tour in Birmingham, Alabama. Shout out to Charlamagne for booking the gig. These are your nominees, folks. These are your top 2 frontrunners, Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom. Neither of them, this is what you should notice, neither of them is saying anything about what the Democratic Party is about or is representing or is doing. Notice that none of that got mentioned. All they're talking about is Donald Trump and Kamala's promoting her book. That's it. It's 2025. We're 3 years away from that election. 1 year away from the midterms. After the Republicans swept Last year federally. Control of the Senate, control of the House, White House. I thought the Democrats would come up with a plan. Their plan was, let's triple down on going against Trump. Now, I understand. Here's the second part. I told you it was two parts to this. Here's the other reason why this works, because there's a bunch of people who really don't like Donald Trump. I mean, let's not act like that's not the case. There's a large percentage of Americans, I say about 40%, who are so against Trump. I wouldn't go as far as to call it hate, but they're so against him that anything that he endorses, they will go the opposite direction without even thinking about it. I say about 40% of Americans fit that description. Now, you can't win an election with only 40%. That last 10 or so percent that you need to win, those are the people that they actually need to persuade. The issue is the Democrats are not even trying to persuade these people. This is why they have a problem. How are you going to win? You still got to get that last 10%. The 40%, they got it. They heard you. They know that they don't like Trump. They know it's anti-Trump everything. If it's Trump on the ballot, vote for the other person, whoever it is. All right. If the other person is a ham sandwich, you vote for the ham sandwich because it's not Trump. 40% of Americans are there. Again, you can't win with just 40%. You need the other 10%. How are you going to get them if you're not about anything? This is where the Democrats are faltering. Now, this broad national scale, everyone coming to these No Kings protests, it gives the protest legitimacy, some say. I say no, it doesn't. It doesn't give it legitimacy because it depends on why you're doing it. A bunch of people buy Snickers bars at Walgreens. That doesn't necessarily make it more legitimate than not just because there are more people doing it. This is a bandwagon fallacy. Who are the people showing up to the protests? I just told you, 40% of people in America, the voting Americans, let's say it's 150 million people who vote. Half of that, 75, and 40%. So what is that? 7.5. Let's just call that 60 to 65 million people. Let's just say that 60 to 65 million people are going against Trump no matter what. So 60 to 65 million people is plenty of enough to fill up a whole bunch of protests over the weekend. Here's the problem. These people are already sold. This is the choir. You're preaching to the choir. It's a good idea to preach to the choir. It's a good marketing strategy to preach to the choir. It's selling to your buyers. The problem is if you need to persuade some people who are not your buyers to buy, you have to give them a reason to come in. And the reason that you already gave is how you got your choir in the first place. Now, there's a bunch of people who already know the church is there. They know there's a choir there. You follow my extended metaphor here. They still didn't walk into the church. So you can't keep giving them the same message you gave to the people who are already on the inside because clearly it didn't work to persuade them. You got to give them something more than that or something other than that. The Democrats aren't even trying. There's no effort here. They're not even trying to persuade these people. They're just continuing with the same message. This message ain't working. It's like a football team losing 30-0 at halftime. You ask the coach on the way into the locker room, what adjustments are you going to make in the second half? And the coach says, well, nothing. We're going to stick to our game plan. There's a problem. You're losing 30-0. You probably don't want to stick to your game plan. So this is the issue that the Democrats have. So there are millions of people who went to these protests, allegedly. And you saw the Democratic influencers touting this. They all got paid to tout this. Make sure you tell everybody it was 7 million people went to the protest. Whatever. So this is a signal that there is strong resistance to Donald Trump's perceived authoritarian drift. Okay. Let's just say that that's true. Now what happens? Let's just say that a whole bunch of Americans who already voted against Trump are still against Trump. So here we are a year later, they still don't like him. Right? You didn't vote for him in 2016. You didn't vote for him in 2020. You danced in the streets because Joe Biden won. How'd that turn out? And then you didn't vote for him again in 2024. Okay. Now you still don't like him in 2025. Okay. Now what's going to happen? What do you do now? There's no answer to this question. So just because these people showed up to this No Kings protest proves absolutely nothing. How many votes did Kamala Harris get in 2024? How many votes Kamala get? Any of you know? Let me see. Let me find out. This is 2024. We're going to find out how many presidential results. How many votes did Kamala Harris get? So, Donald Trump, candidate won with 312 electoral votes. Kamala got 226 electoral votes. Trump secured a plurality of the popular votes, 49.8% of the total votes cast. We're trying to find out how much. Okay. So Donald Trump got 77,300,580 votes, popular votes. Kamala Harris got 17,613 popular votes. So 75 million people voted for Kamala Harris. 75 million people voted for Kamala Harris. So of that 75 million, some of them showed up to this protest. What does this prove? If the only people showed up to the protest are the people who already believed what you did, then what you just had was a pep rally. And it's cool to have a pep rally. You got to keep people excited. I get it, but excited for what? There's no election. What are the Democrats doing? What are you doing? There's no election. What are you getting people excited for now? And some may say, well, get them excited now, so you get them excited again next year. Well, how many protests do you think people are going to keep showing up to? Now, this is a bad idea. This is poor. Again, I'm giving it a compliment by calling it poor strategy. So this lack of policy demand weakens its impact. And you can't demand policy when the Republicans run everything and Donald Trump's the damn president. What policy? You can't demand a policy. From who? Where? How are you going to do it? Donald Trump's the president until 2028. So even if the Democrats take over Congress in 2026, they still can't get anything done. They can pass bills to the desk of the president. He can veto everything. So now what? Democrats can't really get anything done until 2029 at the earliest, because that's when a new president would come in. And that's assuming that they have enough control in Congress to even get anything to the desk of whoever that president may be, Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris. So there's no specific legislative goal here because you can't, because again, how are you going to do it when the Republicans run everything? There's no electoral strategy because there's no election coming up. You got another year, and this is way too early to get the average person excited about anything. They're not going to be excited again next year. Most people ain't going to be excited next week, let alone next year. So what exactly are they doing? There's no answer to the question. Now, the coalition backing these events, these are civil rights and labor groups, the ACLU, the AFL-CIO affiliates, an organization called Move On, another one called Indivisible Easter. I never heard of these people. So they provide people, tech, and coordination across states. So again, just to let you all know, don't be fooled into thinking that this is some grassroots that they just announced no kings and all of a sudden people just jumped up off their couches and ran outside. That is not how these things happen. These are highly organized. There's money involved, and the optics of it to make it look like there's a bunch of people going against Donald Trump. This is all coordinated. This is not some random grassroots campaign. Even though they want you to think that it is, it's not. Now, why does that matter? Because their whole thing is we want to show everybody that we're going against Donald Trump. Okay, you're going against Donald Trump. We know. Kamala Harris got 75 million votes. I just showed you. We know there are people who go against Donald Trump. Now what? There have been people going against Donald Trump since 2016. It's 2025. 9 years later, you're still doing the same thing. And you lost 2 out of 3 times. And again, that one time that the Democrats won, what really happened? We don't know. Now, critics say this recycles the same performative tactics from June's protest. I thought it was in June. So there was a protest in June. That's what I thought. So there were people who were at the event in Detroit, from what I heard, who said that this produces no measurable change. There was no change last time, no change this time. But understand something, folks. People don't go to rallies because they want change. Now, you might think people go to rallies because they want change because that's what they say. That's the reason they say they're going, right? You show up to one of these rallies, you ask one of the attendees, why are you here? What are you trying to get? What's the outcome you're trying to achieve? What are you trying to achieve? They would all say, well, this guy's being the king, and we don't want an authoritarian government, and we don't want this guy trying to be a dictator from day one, and we want our democracy back, and this guy's trying to destroy the Constitution, and you know the talking points about Donald Trump, right? If you went to one of these rallies in Detroit, New York, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Houston, wherever the rallies were, LA, that's what one of the attendees would say. You find somebody who has basic level intelligence, they probably give some type of reasonable explanation that sounds like that. Here's the issue. We just had an election to settle this. This is where you make your voice heard. You don't make your voice heard to fucking protest. I'm not a fan of protesting. I'm not knocking any of you personally if you like to participate in protests. I'm not a fan of protesting. Why? Because the real protesting is not marching around and holding up signs and making noise. Yes, that can sometimes be effective. I do agree that sometimes that can be effective. You protest enough, you get the news to show up, then it becomes a news story, and it gives a company or entity a black eye, and they want to respond because they don't want to deal with the bad PR. And it can actually help to get people to get the negative press off their back sometimes. Excuse me. But the real protest, ladies and gentlemen, is when you do something that actually affects the outcome. If you have a problem with anything happening politically, you don't protest by going and doing random pep rallies like this No Kings nonsense they just did last weekend. The real protest is you organize a bunch of people to vote for the politician who you support so you can get the one who you don't like out of office. That's how you protest. That's the real protest. Real protest is about tangible outcomes, not about this getting excited, posting on social media nonsense. This is all play. So this just gets the Democrats, the political Democrats, to keep their masses of supporters excited. But again, these people are already voting for you. These are people already voting Democrat. People at the No Kings protest are already voting Democrat. They already voted against Donald Trump. They already don't like Donald Trump. They've been saying this for the last 10 years. We didn't learn anything new this weekend. Actually, we did learn something new. We learned that the Democrats still haven't come up with a new strategy, because if they had, they wouldn't be doing this. Now, this branding taps into concerns about democratic norms, executive power, and civil liberties erosion. I really disagree with this, but this is what some people are saying. So, protest messaging, cities, National Guard cites National Guard deployments, ICE enforcement tactics, and media suppression as evidence. And I say, these are talking points. I wouldn't even consider these evidence. National Guard got deployed. There's a reason they got deployed everywhere it was deployed. ICE enforcement. This is the one where the Democrats have really just cut off their noses to spite their faces. The ICE enforcement. That is Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That's ICE. Their whole job is to make sure everybody who's in the country is here with proper documentation. If you're here without proper documentation, without proper paperwork, and without a legal reason to be here, we grab you, gather you up, we kick you out. How could the Democrats have created a position where they're against that? This is the most, I believe, the most foolish things the Democrats have done is this one right here, is them going against ICE. ICE literally has one job, is to enforce that if you don't have proper documentation, you can't be here. That's literally their only job. How could you decide that we're going to make our platform going against that in America? There's no other country in the world where you can walk around without proper documentation and it's accepted. And the government knows and they just let you stay. That nowhere else in the world does that happen. The Democrats have made this foolish idea that what they're going to do, actually, it's not a foolish idea. That's incorrect. I'm going to correct myself. I'm going to tell you why this is a smart idea, or at least why they think it's smart. I think it's a foolish idea to go against Donald Trump and the concept, but I understand the long-term game that they're playing. So here's a short-term game. Donald Trump is saying we're going to enforce the borders. He's been saying this since his first time. They're sending immigrants, but they're not sending their best. They're sending gang members and assaulters, et cetera. So y'all remember that from back in 2016. So Donald Trump's whole thing from the very beginning is we're going to build a wall. We're going to enforce our laws. Build a wall is a metaphor, is a visual. We're going to enforce our immigration laws. We're going to get people who don't have proper documentation out of the country. That's what Donald Trump been saying since 2016. Democrats went against that and said, no, don't do that. That's a bad thing. Joe Biden becomes president in 2020. So between 2021 and 2024, the border is pretty loosely enforced. A bunch of people come flooding into the country through our southern border. Everybody knows about that. Now, why would the Democrats want to do that? Are they doing it just because Donald Trump? No. They are messaging that way to look like opposition from Donald Trump, but there's a bigger picture plan. The bigger picture plan, Kamala Harris said it without saying it in 2024. We want to create a fast track to citizenship. That's the game plan for the Democrats. Fast track to citizenship. What the hell does that mean? Democrats realize, because a lot of you know this, because I've seen many of you say in the comments in the past, Barack Obama deported more people than Donald Trump has. Barack Obama is a Democrat. I think we all can agree. Barack Obama comes from immigrant genes. We all can agree. And Barack Obama deported more people than Donald Trump has. Kids in cages started with Barack Obama, not Donald Trump. Again, a lot of people don't know that. Now, he was a Democrat, though. So why wasn't he just bringing people into the country? Because Barack Obama could win on his own merits. That's what changed. Barack Obama won 2 elections on his own merits. Me against you, straight up. My points against your points. My speaking against your speaking. Because running for president is a public speaking competition. Donald Trump went against John McCain, smashed him. Went against Mitt Romney, smashed him. On his own merits. He won on his own merits of the policy he claimed he was going to do and the speeches that he gave, and he let the people decide. I'm not saying that you necessarily need to agree or disagree with Barack Obama. What I'm saying is he went head up, policy against policy, point against point, and he won twice. The Democrats, after Donald Trump won in 2016, or even up to the win in 2016, after he beat Hillary, which surprised a lot of people, including myself, they said, okay, this guy's kind of a force of nature. How do we beat this guy? How do we beat this guy straight up on our own merits? Who can we send to go against him? They sent Hillary in 2016, And they figured there's no way Donald Trump could really win. All right? There's no way he could really win. A lot of people thought that he won. They said, all right, who do we got? Who do we have in the minor leagues that we can bring up to the majors that can beat Donald Trump? Who can we send up there against him in 2020? They didn't have anybody, so they sent one of their old timers, Joe Biden. 2024, Joe Biden, drunk off ambition. He was already president. He said, well, y'all can't stop me from running again. I'm going to run again. Well, he tried to run. He broke his leg as soon as he started running. Metaphor. And they had to put in Kamala Harris. They actually didn't have to. They could have brought up somebody else. I don't think any Democrat wanted that nomination in 2024. This is my theory. I don't think any Democrat wanted the 2024 nomination because going against Donald Trump was a buzzsaw after he smashed and destroyed Joe Biden in that debate. Actually, he didn't destroy Joe Biden in the debate. Joe Biden destroyed himself in the debate. Donald Trump just stood aside and let him do it. And I think many of the Democrat possible nominees looked at the landscape and said, okay, it's not even worth it. I'll just wait till 2028. Because Kamala definitely was not the strongest option that they had. But nobody else wanted it, so they said, all right, Kamala, you got it. Good luck. And we saw what happened there. And Democrats looked at the landscape and they said, okay, we don't quite have anybody on the way up. Y'all remember Barack Obama's famous speech that he gave in 2004 to put him on the map? He gave this beautiful speech in 2004 that everybody loved, and everybody all of a sudden was a huge fan of Obama. Obama. That was in 2004. So in 2008, he was able to run. That was supposed to be Hillary Clinton in 2008. Those of you remember that. 2008 was supposed to be Hillary Clinton for the Democratic Party. And she ran in the primary against Barack Obama, and she lost. So she had to wait 8 more years for her chance because Barack won 2 elections. Then in 2016, a washed-up Hillary ran, and she got beat. 2020, washed-up Joe Biden runs, and somehow he won. Democrats realized they didn't have any talent on the way up. There was no talent coming. Barack Obama was the last talent the Democratic Party produced. In 2008, he was the last talent produced by the Democratic Party. Who else is a talent in the Democratic Party? Can anybody give me a name? Give me a name in the comments. What talent has been produced by the Democratic Party since 2008? After Obama, name the talent. Hillary Clinton? No. Joe Biden? That's a joke. Kamala Harris? No. Who else? What talent have they produced? They don't have any. Their most popular voices are all old. There was Joe Biden. He's 80-something years old. Bernie Sanders is 80-something years old. Nancy Pelosi is 80, 90-something years old. Who else they got? You got AOC, but she's a little bit too... AOC is too extreme. She's not going to become president. I thought she might have a chance. I don't think so. She's too extreme. She's all on this socialist shit, and that can work maybe in a city. It's not going to work in the country. That's not going to work in the federal election. AOC is not going to work. I thought she might have a chance. I changed my mind on that. Right now, Democrats have 2 people, Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris. The best talent the Democrat Party has right now is Gavin Newsom. That's a problem because he doesn't have to beat anybody, number one. Number 2, he ain't that good. I don't think he is. He's a very polished politician, but the Donald Trump machine, I don't think he can beat that, but he's trying. And because the Democrats have no talent coming up, they can't depend on the talent to win. They can't win off talent. Donald Trump came in as a talent. Even though he's older, he came in as a talent because he was bringing a flavor that no one had brought before. He was doing something that they couldn't beat, which is why he's been the nominee for 3 straight elections. You haven't had a single Republican nominee since 2012 besides Donald Trump. No one's even run since 2012. So it's going to be 16 years before we saw a fresh-faced Republican. So a bunch of Republicans watched their careers wash away over the last, what's going to be 16 years because Donald Trump was so strong they couldn't compete. He ended a lot of Republican careers. Different conversation for a different day. Now, the Democrats realized, okay, 2 things. Number 1, we do want to win on some level. We had to somehow, some way win elections. We got to win senator elections. We got to win representative elections. We got to win presidential elections. We have to win some elections. We can't just keep losing to the Republicans. We have to win somehow, some way. And number 2, we can't win based off talent. That's the way we normally win. But we have Barack. He was talented. We have Bill Clinton, talented. We can't win off talent. So now what do? They had to come up with another idea. This is after the 2016 election. This is the conversation the Democrats are having internally. We can't win on talent because Donald Trump is a force of nature. Before the 2016 election, November 8th, 2016, I remember this because I made a video on November 9th. But November 8th, Going into that day, they said, okay, we're going to get rid of Donald Trump, and now we're going to be in power for another. That's going to give us 12 straight years of power. Because you have Barack from 8 to 12, Barack from 12 to 16, then Hillary 16 to 20. That was the theory, right? Donald Trump wins, shocks the hell out of a whole lot of people. They said, okay, clearly this guy has more momentum than we thought. He has more supporters and more fans than we thought. He has more of a grassroots following than we thought. We might have a problem on our hands because he might win again the next time around. Because if we're going to beat him, we need talent. We need talent to beat him. We ain't got no talent on the bench. We lost in 2016. Immediately they flipped the page and said, okay, who can beat him in 2020? Nobody. We ain't got nobody. This is the conversation that I'm theorizing the Democrats are having in 2016. We don't have anybody to beat him in 2020. So how do we stop him from getting 2 terms back to back? How do we do it? Now, here's where you can put on your tinfoil hat. That thing that happened in 2020, I'm not even going to say it. Here's where I start sounding like Candace Owens. I'm not saying that actually happened. I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility. Okay? I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility. They needed something to disturb his run. Because had that thing not happened in 2020, that virus not happened in 2020, Donald Trump would have won in 2020. He would have won on paper in 2020. And he would have had his 2 terms and we'd be having a different conversation right now. The virus happens in 2020. Virus happens in 2020. That was enough to create enough confusion to where Joe Biden wins the election. Let's just leave it at that. I don't even want to say too much. Joe Biden wins in 2020. All right, we got him out. Now, the idea for the Democrats was let's let Biden get his 4 years. He served in the Democratic Party for 40. Let's give him 4 years. He should step aside in January of 2024. Enough time for us to have a full primary and replace him with fresh meat and some new talent. Buttigieg, Whitmer, Newsom, Shapiro, and maybe Kamala. Maybe Kamala could have threw her hat in there. She would have lost, but she could have tried. Now we ready with our new talent. Here's our new talent. We can bring our fresh talent in 2024. This was the perfect plan for the Democratic Party. Plan didn't work because Joe Biden wouldn't play ball. Scranton Joe said, no, I want to run again. Scranton Joe said, I want to run again. He messed up the whole plan. So if y'all want to be mad at somebody, be mad. If you're a Democrat, you want to be mad at Joe Biden. He messed up the plan. He was supposed to get the hell out the way, but he couldn't get his old ass out the way. He insisted on running again. Fumbled as soon as he got the damn ball. As soon as he got in the first debate, he fumbled and fell all over the place and ended his career in disgrace. Joe Biden, that happened. Jill Biden, if you're watching, that happened. And now he screwed the whole Democratic Party over because now it was obvious they weren't going to win in 2024. Then Trump gets a bullet shot past his head. And nobody in the Democratic Party wants to take the nomination. Nobody even wants it. That's why they didn't have an open primary. Nobody wants it. I think Nancy Pelosi and the powers that be looked around the Democratic Party and said, okay, who actually wants this if we have an open primary? Because we don't want to put Kamala in there because we know she ain't good enough. So who wants it? Nobody stood up. Nobody wanted it because they said Trump got a little bit too much momentum. I'm going to get my ass kicked. I might as well wait until 2028. And that's what happened. So the Democrats sent their weakest to 2024. We got Kamala, and you saw what happened. So I'm saying all that to say, going back to what I was talking about. Democrats said we don't have any talent coming up. They thought they did, but they don't. Now we wait until 2028. How do we win? How do we win elections? Well, we got more people to just vote Democrat. How about that? Instead of just having a talented person, instead of just winning in a fair and square way, instead of just having another Bill Clinton or another Barack Obama, instead of just grooming more talent, how about we just find a way to get more people to vote Democrat? How about that? How about we just find a way to hocus pocus, do a magic trick and get more people to vote Democrat? How do we do that? Okay. Half the voting population, let's just say 90% of the voting population is always going to vote either Democrat or Republican. They're not changing. How do we get the independent? Can we get the independent voters to vote our way? Probably not. Just off of what? Off of what? You could do it off of talent. Barack Obama did it. Bill Clinton did it. Barack Obama got a lot of independent voters to vote Democrat. That's why he won. Twice. Bill Clinton, same thing. Twice. He's got a lot of independent voters who could go either way or who might not even vote at all, might abstain. He got them to show up and vote for him. Why? Because he was talented. Barack Obama had talent. Bill Clinton, talent. Donald Trump as well. They got independents to go their way. That's how you win elections. Somebody who's actually really, really good. Those three guys, very good. Democrats said, we don't have anybody good enough to do that in our next election, so what can we do? And this is their plan. And again, Kamala Harris told you, she said the quiet part out loud. She kept saying it. Path to citizenship. What is the path to citizenship? Let a bunch of people into the country without proper documentation. Speed up their process to becoming citizens. When you become a citizen, now you have suffrage, i.e. the right to vote. And who they're going to vote for? The people who gave them citizenship. And we know who that is. The Democrats. That was their plan. That was the plan. So you want to understand why Joe Biden signed executive orders within his first 30 days as president in 2021 to relax the enforcement of rule at the border is because this is a long-term plan for the Democrats. That wasn't a Joe Biden plan. That was a Democrat plan. Joe Biden's job was just do what the Democrats told him to do. That was a Democrat long-term strategy. Let's bring in more people, get them citizenship, they'll become voters. And the Democrats' long-term plan was we're going to have Joe in. All right, we got this virus. We can use that to topple, destabilize Trump. It worked. Joe Biden's in. It worked, quote unquote. Joe Biden's in. Joe Biden's supposed to do 4 years. Just execute the damn plan, Joe. Scranton Joe. Don't go off the plan. Just execute the damn plan. Open the border. Bring all these people in. We'll bring in a fresh face in 2024 who will defeat whoever, maybe Trump again, but they'll be good enough and ready. They can defeat Trump. They'll continue the plan for another 4 years, meaning right now there'll be more people coming across the border as we speak, had the Democrats won in 2024 with somebody like Whitmer, Shapiro, Buttigieg, Gavin Newsom, had they run in 2024, which they would have had Joe Biden's dumbass followed the damn plan. He didn't follow the plan. Joe Biden gets into the White House and he says, well, I know I was supposed to only do 4 years, but you know what? Fuck that. I'm trying to do 8. I want to do 4 more. And they all got mad at Joe because Joe went against the plan. Again, Democrat voters, be mad at Joe Biden. He's the one who messed up the plan. Don't be mad at Trump. Be mad at Joe Biden. He messed up. He was supposed to get out the way last January. He didn't get out the way. He insisted, I want to stay and run. They were calling him. I guarantee you, they were calling him. Barack Obama was calling him like, Joe, you know the plan. You know what the plan was. Joe said, well, I'm already in. I ain't leaving. I'm not following the plan anymore. Joe Biden went against the grain. That's what he did. Joe Biden went against the grain. If this was the mafia, they would have offed Joe Biden. They would have did him like Paul Castellano. Had that been the mafia. But since it's not the mafia, they had to let him live. Any Democrat voters in here want to fact check me on that? Or theory check me? It's not a fact. Excuse me, that's not a fact. Anybody want to theory check me on that? Give me a true or not true. How many of you agree with that? Joe Biden was supposed to get out the way. He didn't get out the way. So this dummy didn't get out the way. All right, messed up the whole thing. And now, when he fumbled in that debate, now the Democrats were screwed. They had to send Kamala, and you got 107 days of nonsense. Or vibes. You got vibes for about 30 days, then about 77 days of nonsense. And that was it for Kamala Harris, and she's done. She's up there, but she's done. This is why Kamala kept saying during her campaign, a pathway to citizenship. We want to keep the border open, bring in more people, get them a pathway to citizenship so they can vote. They're going to vote Democrat. That's how we can compete into the future. Not off talent, not off being good, not off policy, not off plan, not off structure, not off having a forum, not off offering anything to the American citizens who are here, not off offering any of you anything tangible. All we're going to do is import more people, get them to become citizens as quickly as possible, not the 10 or 20 or 8 years you had to wait to become a citizen, or your grandma or your mom had to wait to become a citizen. No, it's not going to take them 20 years, not going to take them 8 years. They don't have to go to a bunch of meetings at the government buildings. They don't have to take the test the way you had to. They don't have to fill out all the paperwork that you had to take. They don't have to sit on hold for 45 minutes with the State Department trying to get citizenship. They don't have to do any of the shit you had to go through. We're going to get them a pathway to citizenship real quick so they can become voters real quick. They're going to vote Democrat, even though they don't even know what this country is about. They don't care about this country. They just got imported here, and they're going to bring their lifestyle here. They're not going to try to assimilate to what we have. They're going to come in and bring their own stuff in here. This is how you get Dearborn, Michigan. They're going to bring their own stuff in here, and they're going to make us assimilate to them. And we got enough politicians in here that are going to go along with that. And that's how we're going to maintain some way of democratic competitiveness over the next 10 to 20 years. This is a Democratic plan. Understanding all this, how the hell could you vote Democrat? I don't care how you feel about Donald Trump. How could you support the Democratic Party knowing this? Now, again, this is a theory. This is a theory. But how would you support the Democratic Party? If I got any part of that theory wrong, you can let me know. But this is what their plan was, because they don't have any talent. And I hope I'm breaking this down enough that y'all can understand. Democrats have no talent on the bench. So they had to figure out the only other way we can compete is we have to import voters that will vote for us, because otherwise we don't have anybody good enough to just get people to vote for us. So we got to bring in some people who will just vote for us just because. This is the plan. And Donald Trump's doing the exact opposite. He said, no, we want to lock the door and let's just have a fair fight. Let's just have a fair fight. My policy against your policy. The Democrats want to import people from other places who do not have proper documentation and are not going to go through the gauntlet of getting proper documentation. Like, again, some of you who are listening to this, either you or people you know, went through the process of becoming citizens. That shit takes forever. It takes years. There's a ton of paperwork. There's a ton of filing. You're on phone calls. You're on hold. You're going to meetings. You're going to buildings. You're filing all types of stuff. You got to get this card and that card and all this stuff. Like, I remember, what was I doing? I was looking at I found some paperwork the other week. They're asking for my social security card. I don't even know where the hell my social security card is at. These are all the things you got to do. You want to become a citizen. You got to do all this shit. And you know the government is slow as hell. There's a bureaucracy. And it takes years. Kamala said, fast track to citizenship. She said it over and over and over again during her campaign. Now, why was she saying that? Is this Kamala's bright idea? No, this is a Democratic idea that she was giving her orders. She was giving her marching orders, as was Joe Biden. See, when people have no talent, they can't do what they want to do. Barack Obama did what he wanted to do because Barack Obama had talent. Again, I'm not saying you agree with Barack Obama. He had talent. He could do what he wanted to do because he won based on his skill. He won based on skill, so he could do what he wanted. Joe Biden had no talent, so he did what he was told. Kamala Harris has no talent, so she did what she was told. That's the reason why that's why Kamala was going to keep doing what Joe Biden was doing. It's the reason why she was following Joe Biden in the first place. That tells you enough about Kamala Harris. Joe Biden followed Barack Obama. Think about it. And Kamala followed Joe. So that tells you where she's at, all right, talent-wise. And Hillary lost to Barack. So again, Democrats haven't had talent since Barack Obama. This is the issue the Democrat Party has. So they're like, all right, let's figure out another way we can win. So basically, we're going to cheat. Let's bring in some people who don't have documentation and let's make them voters, and then they'll just vote for us. That was their plan, or that kind of is their plan. And if they win in 2028, they're going to go right back to this. By the way, they're coming right back to this in 2028. Gavin Newsom, what state does he represent? In California. How are they responding to ICE in California? What do you think he's going to do nationally if he becomes president? What do you think he's going to do? That's an open question to the audience. If Gavin Newsom wins in 2028, what do you think he's going to do? Look at how they're responding to ICE in California. Look at what Gavin Newsom's saying about ICE in California. Look at what he's saying to and about Donald Trump. Well, he's not really talking to him, but about Donald Trump. What do you think he's going to do if he wins? You already know what Kamala's going to do. She was already doing it. Kamala was the border czar, right? I haven't been to the border and I haven't been to Europe. That was Kamala Harris's comment. Kamala was the border czar. So you already know what she's going to do if she wins. And the only other competition she got is Gavin Newsom. And you see what he's doing in California. You see his response to ICE in California. What do you think he's going to do? So whatever you thought was happening between 2021 and 2024 at the border is going to happen again if the Democrats win in 2028. That's a guarantee. That one I'll bet money on. And who else might win? AOC? What do you think she's going to do? Y'all seeing this? Are y'all putting the pieces? Y'all putting these pieces together? And Rio Love 89 says stop ice. No, he's not going to stop ice. He's going to melt ice. There's not going to be no stop. There's not going to be any ice. You're not going to hear about ice for 4 years straight. If the Democrats win 2028, the top three you got Gavin, Kamala, AOC. There will be no ice. You will not hear anything about ice for 4 years. They won't even be mentioned. You won't hear anything about ICE. They're going to be collecting checks doing no work because there ain't going to be no job for them. They ain't going to have no work to do. If Democrats win in 2028, they're going to import more people. Documentation or not, that's what they're going to do. And the reason they're going to do it is because there is no emerging talent in the Democratic Party right now. Gavin Newsom's like 60. Barack Obama was, how old was Barack Obama when he won? Like 45? Barack Obama was young. Gavin Newsom's like 60. He's a polished politician who's been around for a long time. Slick back hair, slick talk guy. A lot of people don't trust him. He's a used car salesman or even a new car salesman. A lot of people just don't trust him. He's not their emerging talent. He's not emerging. Emerging talent would be somebody like AOC's age. She's not that talented. And she's a little bit too extreme. She can't win federally what she's talking about right now. She would have to shift her message. So this is the Democrats' platform. So this whole thing with ICE, the reason that they're opposing ICE so strongly is they're trying to create this frame that America is a country of immigrants, which is not true. We're a country of citizens. Every immigrant wants to become a citizen. So nobody wants to stay an immigrant. They want to become a citizen. And because Donald Trump is trying to stop immigration, he's not trying to stop immigration. What he's trying to do is stop undocumented immigration or illegal immigration. That makes Donald Trump a bad guy. And that's then causing people the boomerang effect to be okay with any level of immigration. And this is going to work. I'm not saying they're going to win in 2028, but the framing is working. There's a bunch of people who, because they don't like Donald Trump, they are okay with any and all forms of immigration, documented or not, because it's been framed as this is the way you oppose Donald Trump. It's to be okay with immigration, any kind of immigration, is the way that you fight back against Donald Trump. This is effectively working. So if any of you want to say I haven't given Democrats any credit here today, I just gave it to them. This is the credit that I give them. Any kind of immigration is good because it makes Donald Trump mad. That's what they're doing. And that's why they're going so hard for it. Now, this visual spectacle of everybody going against Donald Trump, again, got media coverage. Now, a lot of media that covered it, of course, is people who already don't like Donald Trump. And it makes it easy to share and allows your paid Democratic influencers, and there are lots of them, to go out and say what they're saying. So all these people creating what I guess they want to call viral moments. Fine. Problem is, and we learned this in 2016, social media engagement does not equal electoral outcomes. All of you should remember that. Social media is not a reflection of real life. It's getting closer, but it's not there. It's still very far away. It's closer than it was, but it's still very far away. Most Americans are not on social media, first of all. Even those who are, most of them are not making themselves known on social media. Most of them are not commenting or publishing on social media. Even if they may use it, they're not commenting or publishing on social media. Social media is not real life. If social media was real life, there's no way Donald Trump would have won in 2016, because according to social media, he had no chance. And when he won in 2016, it surprised a whole lot of people, again, including myself. So doing these No Kings rallies, again, it may get you some social media attention, but how is that changing anything? If social media attention, vibes, and energy are what determine electoral outcomes, Kamala Harris would have won all 7 swing states in 2024, because according to social media, she was dominating everything. She was dominating the media. She was dominating the news. She was the best. She had Oprah do a show with her. She had, of course, you got the CNNs and the MSNBCs, the ABCs, the CBSs, and the NBCs. Kamala Harris, vibes-wise, was dominating, according to social media. So if it's all about social media, then reality wouldn't be reality. So social media itself doesn't prove anything. Now, this movement says that there's grassroots energies in states that are often overlooked by national campaigns. I say I disagree with this. That I don't believe this is grassroots. As soon as you get big organizations start putting money behind a thing, you can't call it grassroots anymore. As soon as you start taking big money to organize something, it's not grassroots. Grassroots is when it's individual people coming together under a common cause and going and getting things done. That's grassroots. Barack Obama winning in 2008, that was grassroots. I'm not saying it wasn't national. I'm not saying he didn't have money. He had money. But it was a grassroots campaign. Why? Because there was genuine, real enthusiasm for Barack Obama amongst people, amongst voters. That's how he won. There was real enthusiasm around him. In 2016, when Donald Trump won, there was real enthusiasm behind Donald Trump by American voters, citizens. That wasn't a funded thing. Yes, he funded the campaign, but the enthusiasm was real. That was organic. Democrats have nothing organic right now. That protest that y'all saw last weekend was not organic. All right, that was manufactured. So Trump's already in office. There's no voting cycle coming up. I already said this. Momentum could dissipate without follow through. There is no follow through strategy. So, of course, the momentum is going to dissipate. This was a headline grabber for the Democratic Party. But why? Why are they doing this? There has to be a bigger picture reason that they're doing this. I don't know what it is yet. But when we find out, we're going to come back to this. So put a pin in that idea because we're going to come back to that at some point over the next year. Once we find out why they're doing this, why they're doing it now. Now, for Democrats and progressive factions, I know we got some Democrats listening to this. This is the counter narrative to the GOP's mobilization. And they say the June protest was about giving people hope after losing in 2024. And this one is just a second wave of hope. I say this is bullshit strategy. It's not even a strategy. Again, I'm giving it a compliment by even calling this a strategy. Now, all this does is create more polarization. People are saying no kings and Donald Trump's dividing us and we need to bring people together. But if you go and participate in a no kings protest, first of all, you're creating a straw man argument that Donald Trump is trying to be or he is a king. And how is that helping bring anybody together? It's not. All you're doing is preaching to the choir of other people who already agree with you. All right, what's happening? So this has potential for some type of infrastructure. Maybe somebody will get involved in the Democratic Party. Maybe somebody becomes a volunteer. Maybe there's some community organization. But I say this is all nonsense, that this can create infrastructure for 2026. Maybe it could. The problem is, if you're going to get people excited for an election, you have to have a galvanizing figure that moves them to action. Bill Clinton was a galvanizing figure. George W. Bush even, not as much. Barack Obama absolutely was. Donald Trump absolutely is. We haven't had anybody since between those two guys in the last 17 years. There's not been a single person, Democrat or Republican. We haven't had a single galvanizing figure in the last 17 years from either political party other than Barack Obama and Donald Trump. Now, the Republicans have some people coming up. They got some people coming up through the minor league system. You have a J.D. Vance. You have a Marco Rubio. You got some potential in the Republican Party. Before he passed, you had a Charlie Kirk. The Republicans have some talent that is being groomed. Who do the Democrats have? I'm really seriously asking this question. Who do the Democrats have? Vivek Ramaswamy, yes. Rio Love on Instagram. Vivek Ramaswamy is another one. Now, he was in it. He dropped out, but he was in it. He's talent. The Republicans have some talent. Who do the Democrats have? They got AOC. Again, I think she's too extreme. I think she has some talent, but she's a little bit too extreme. She's not polished enough. They have Hakeem Jeffries. I don't consider him a talent. I think he's a little bit too old and he's kind of who he is. He's stuck in his ways. AOC, Jasmine Crockett? That's a joke. Who do they have? Democrats ain't got nobody. Usually your up-and-coming talent, often you choose them as your vice president. Let's look back. Bill Clinton had Al Gore. Al Gore almost won the 2000 election. All right, then you got the Florida situation. Then Barack Obama had Biden. Now, Barack Obama was so new, he got somebody who was established. So he got Biden as his VP. Donald Trump had Mike Pence. Now, Donald Trump's a different animal, so he took some established, traditional politician, Mike Pence. Mike Pence is gone, disappeared. Joe Biden was an old guy. What he should have done, if he wasn't playing identity politics, what he should have done is gotten a really capable, talented person as his VP, because that would be the person to succeed him. That's what he should have did. But instead, he wanted to play the identity politics game. So he said, I'm going to pick a woman, and a black woman at that. He ended up picking Kamala Harris. That was a bad idea because he didn't pick the best talent the Democrats had to offer. I don't know who that would have been. But what he should have done, Joe Biden, when he was running in 2020, he should have picked an up-and-coming, talented, bona fide talent from the Democratic Party to be his running mate, because Joe Biden was already very old. He should have picked somebody young and new so that they could be groomed as the next wave. Look at what Donald Trump did this time around. He picked J.D. Vance because Donald Trump is old and he's on his way out. Who can come up right behind me? He picked JD. He also put in his cabinet Marco Rubio. That's what you're supposed to do. And he failed it. And my boy 110 over there on Rumble, I am not a Democrat. So this is where the Democrats are failing right now. If Gavin Newsom runs, who's his VP? Who's the up-and-coming talent? I don't know. If Kamala runs, who's she picking as VP? Who's going to work as VP behind Kamala Harris? Tim Walz? That was a joke. Y'all see how they're messing up? As I'm giving you these examples, they didn't used to mess up like this. They weren't messing up like this with Bill Clinton. Al Gore was a good team. That was a good team. Barack, Joe Biden was a good team. Who was Hillary Clinton's VP? Who was her running mate? Anybody remind me? I don't even remember. Who was the VP for Hillary Clinton? Her second in command. I forget the guy's name. Who was the guy that was with Hillary Clinton in 2016? Her running mate. That's right, Tim Kaine. Is it Tim? Is his first name Tim? Yeah, Tim Kaine. Okay. He was okay. Hillary Clinton was a different thing, a female for president. She picked Tim Kaine. Okay. Where's Tim Kaine at now? The whole point is Democrats need emerging talent. They don't have any emerging talent. They've emptied their cupboard. They got a problem. Now, there has to be a measurable win for the Democratic Party. And this is where they're failing. What's the measurable win right now? They need to win 2026. This is what they should be focused on. We must win 2026. They have to win either the Senate or the House. They have to win one of those. If they lose both of those, the Democrat Party is in bigger trouble than they're in right now. They have to win the House or the Senate somehow, some way. And the way they win is they got to get clear on their messaging. Right now, their messaging is just go against Trump. And not for nothing, this might work. This might work. It might work in 2026 that enough people are unhappy with their current situation that they will vote against whoever is currently in Congress, meaning majority Republican, and give the Democrats some power so maybe they can do something different. This is usually why you get Democrat, Republican, usually get these back and forth swings because the average American voter is just looking at their life situation. If they're happy, they keep it how it is. And if they're not happy, they go the other way. And usually people go back and forth. They vacillate. That's the reason why you get Democrat, Republican. This is the way it goes. So those of you who are Republican voters, conservatives, MAGA supporters, Trump supporters, don't get cocky. The Republicans are not going to stay in power forever. That's not going to happen. Democrats will get in power again. There will be a Democrat president. There will be a Democrat Congress, fully Democrat Congress at some point. Between now and 2050 is going to happen. There will be a time when the Democrats have all three the same way the Republicans have all three right now. It's going to happen simply because the average voter, again, is not looking at things logically. They're looking at their own situation. And when people are happy, they keep it how it is. When they're unhappy, they go the other way. That's how it works. So the Democrats still, though, had to come up with some talent because the person they bring is weak. Then they may only get one term before we go back to Republican again. So the Republicans may dominate with, let's say, 2 out of every 3 terms being Republicans, but they're not going to just stay straight Republican all the way through. Only way that can happen is if everybody's really happy and everything's going really good all the way straight with no disruptions, meaning the economy got to keep going up. People have to keep making money. People have to keep getting jobs. Costs have to keep going down. Is that going to keep happening all the way through for the next 25 years? The answer is hell no. That's not going to happen. So when it goes down, that's when whoever's in charge, whoever's in power is going to get voted out. That's going to happen. That's the way it happens. That's the reason why elections happen the way that they do. So if the economy's not going good, all the challenger has to do is say the economy's not going good, vote for me. And they usually can win. Also part of the reason why Trump won in 2024. The economy wasn't going good. Okay, vote for me. There he is. He won. If the economy's not going good at this time next year, then the Democrats can win at least one side of that congressional midterm. If the economy's going great, they might lose. So does this have anything to do with talent? Not really. So there's a lot of pieces that go into this, folks. But that's the game of how politics really works. And when you understand that, then it makes sense. You can put these things that happen into context. But big picture, everything I said here still matters. Big picture, Democrats still need some talent. They have no talent on the come up. There may be some talented person we don't know about right now. But they need talent on the rise, and the Republicans have talent on the rise. They're set up for the future. The Democrats are not set up for the future. and their only chance for the future is anti-Trump. The problem is Trump will be gone. Now, what's your message then? There must be an answer to this question. All that said, folks, I need to take a restroom break because I talked for a long time. Then we're going to get to the comments. Give me 90 seconds. Let me take a quick restroom break, folks, and then we will get to the comments and we'll get to some of our favorite sounds. I'm sure there may be a few.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Strawberry cheesecake's here today, and maybe
Emotional damage.
and give me 90 seconds. I'll be right back.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
I'm back. Let's get to it. And I am looking at, first of all, I'll start over on YouTube. Dog, not from Menace. Good morning. He said, the college degree thing. Yeah, grand fallacy of the day of a lifetime. Malloy said, I already addressed the Democrat part. He said, they should surround themselves around you. Your theory is so true. I'm so thankful President Trump is our leader. Well, again, I offered a free consultation to Democrats about a month ago. So they can take me up on my offer. The next consultation they got to pay for. So any of you know anybody in the Democrat Party, send them in my direction. Nova B. Chill said, what happened to Tulsi Gabbard? I still think she is good, but I really thought she was a talent. She was a talent. She jumped over to the Trump side. So I don't know where she would be in the Democratic hierarchy if she could even get back in now that she jumped over to the Trump side. So I'm not sure she has a chance to come back to the political left after jumping over and getting into Trump's cabinet. So I don't know where she goes from here. I think she might stay on the Republican side. I think the Democrat Party has kind of lost their minds. Jay Swag Champ said, looks like Democrats giving up. No, they haven't given up. They actually tripled down on their plan. The problem is the plan is just a bad plan. But they haven't given up. Willis said, I can't and never will vote for a Democrat. Well, see, that's the thing. Rio Love 89, good morning. About 90% of voters are on one side or another side, and that's pretty much it. Willis said, Newsom will open the border again. Pretty much. Rio said, I heard Kamala and AOC trying to tag team. That won't go well. 2 women on the same ticket is not going to work. Rio said, wouldn't it be wild if Rock and Snoop Dogg ran for president? No, because they wouldn't last. They wouldn't make it a month before their campaign will be over. They won't get any money. They won't get any donor money. Rio said in VA hiding somewhere. Coeli said, brother, could you please talk about this cost of living? What about it? It's not the topic here today, but what about it? What do you want me to say? Terry Alvarez said, why Kamala Harris was called the czar? Czar is CZAR, the border czar, CZAR. Why she was called that, I believe Joe Biden came up with the term, the border czar. It's just a way of saying czar is like a leader, person in charge. So Kamala's in charge of the border, so she's going to make sure things are right at the border. But she never even went to the border. And then the border was wide open. So she tried to push the tag away from her because she knew how the Trump campaign was using the border situation against her campaign. So she tried to distance herself from the very concept of being the border czar because it didn't make her look good. Jerry Garcia said, what if the protesters helped illegals with their paperwork? What do you mean? The whole point is they're trying to eliminate the paperwork. They're trying to make it as quick as possible, so there is no paperwork. But what do you mean by that? Stephen Albert said, no Kings protests, just get Trump more support. Maybe. The thing is, supporting or not supporting Donald Trump is irrelevant at this point because he can't run for anything else. If we're talking politics on a political basis, it doesn't really matter about Donald Trump because he's not running anymore. So what the Democrats should be thinking about is the next election cycles, 26 and 28, where Donald Trump is not on the ballot. Why are they still focused on Donald Trump? That's the issue. No Go Snow said more people voted against him than for Trump. That's a fact. That's not a fact. I just gave you the data on how many votes came out in 2024. 2024, Donald Trump got 77 million popular votes to Kamala's 75 million popular votes. And electorally, Donald Trump got 312 electoral votes. Kamala got 226. So what you just said there is completely incorrect.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Mimi Melanie said, causing chaos keeps the Dems relevant in the public eye. Well, they do have to stay relevant. I don't know if we will call it chaos with this. It's an anti-Trump message, which works because that's the only thing they have. That's their issue. They don't have any better messaging right now, so they're just continuing to say the same thing because they don't have anything else to say. Carla said, please tell Jasmine Crockett social media is not real life. Well, she understands. Jasmine Crockett understands that. She's not that dumb. She is playing the game the way she can play it. This is the only card she has in her deck is to play the social media game. And it's working for her. It's making her a very popular Democrat. It's not going to help the Democrats as a whole. It's not going to help move her career any further than where it is. She's not going any higher level than where she's at. She's not winning a Senate seat. She's not running for president. She's already in the House of Representatives. She's not going any further than that. So that kind of stuff has a shelf life, though. Eventually, people, if you don't really have anything unique you're doing, then people get tired of the act. So her act is working for now. It could maybe work for another couple of years, but I don't think it doesn't have long-term staying power. Terrell said, yeah, dominating, losing by a landslide. No-Go said Trump didn't win majority. Well, you make two different arguments here. Donald Trump got the most votes electorally and popularly in 24, excuse me. Doug said, should also mention how people are wishing death to people and rooting it on when someone dies. Yeah, the thing is, that's an individual thing. I'm talking more on the bigger parties. Steven said, any common sense thinker can see Trump isn't acting as a king. All you paid protesters as well. Well, people are making Stephen common sense, quote unquote, arguments that he is acting as a king because he did this. So that's just a semantics thing. Carla, thank you for the lightning bolt. Good to see you here. Christopher Lewis said, millions of people voted for Democrats. Not surprised you get a few thousand to show up. Big deal. Yes, good point. Michelle Johnson, thanks for the follow. Big Sam says, so basically, you know what so basically is to tell for. Big Sam says, so basically, you are saying it's all performative and we vote when we are entertained. No, that's not what I said.
Strawberry cheesecake.
I don't know what it's all is. That's a straw man, by the way. If y'all hear that sound?
Strawberry cheesecake.
That's when someone uses a straw man argument. They rephrase something that I said or allegedly said into something that they said, which automatically waters down my point. And then they argue against something that I did, the thing that I didn't even say. So Big Sam is a multiple time winner of the strawberry cheesecake. So he came to get more. He said it's all performative. I don't know what it is. And we vote when we are entertained. No, I didn't use the word entertainment in my description of these things. So Big Sam, I think you did this on purpose, but congratulations, you got it. Jerry Vol, thank you for the share. Tower Hill Blue, thank you for the follow. Carla said, we the people still have our organic grassroots momentum to save our country. This is true if it can be galvanized by a person who can move people to action. Again, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald Trump. Brett Hewitt, thanks for the follow. Michelle, good morning. Watson 7111, thank you. Leah, thank you for the gifts. User 985 said, no King's protest is whack. As far as the big picture strategy, I understand. As far as the people who attended, well, they needed something to do. They had nothing to do on a Saturday, so they went to the protest. I understand. James Rodriguez, thanks for the share. AAA said, people protecting their amendment rights is wrong. That is a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
what amendment rights are you talking about? Are you referring to the First Amendment, such as your right to free speech or the right to gather peacefully and protest? They're not protecting it because it's not threatened. Nobody's stopping them from doing it. So you're not really protecting it. And by protesting, you're not protecting it. All you're doing is making noise about it. So this is a straw man argument.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Rudy Pham said it was 100% organic. That's not true. No, we're saying his behavior is one of a person who is acting like a king. Again, well, describe what acting like a king actually means, Rudy Pham. What does it mean to act like a king? Now, if you put a crown on your head, are you acting like a king? If I go buy a crown from the costume store and put it on my head, am I acting like a king? If I go do something that you disagree with and you say I'm acting like a king and I say, well, no, I'm not. I'm just doing what I'm allowed to do via my presidential powers, given the systems of checks and balances, which is what Donald Trump is doing. He's not doing anything that goes against the law because he wouldn't be able to. System of checks and balances will stop him from doing it. And you saying it's 100% organic is 100% false.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
It was funded by many groups, many of whom I mentioned by name more than once in this live stream. Jolyn Deframe said, a leader. Big Sam said, I agree protests don't work because they are controlled. They are not like the protests of yesteryear. Okay, fair enough. So there's a counter by what sounds like two people on the left. Rudy Pham, one of your co-leftists here, just said that protest is controlled. If your protest is controlled, it's not organic. Salty Supply Guy said 49.8% of the popular vote is not a majority. I said he got more votes. And why are you all trying to split hairs on the language here? See, this is what happens when people run out of arguments. They try to split hairs on the language so that they can be right about something.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
And what I said, to be clear, is the majority of people who voted. I'm not saying a majority, as you all want to try to split hairs on the verbiage. The majority of voters, which we got 152 million people voted roughly. 77 million of that 152 million, which is 49.8%, voted for Donald Trump. 75 million, which is 48%, voted for Kamala. So the majority of those who voted for Donald Trump. 49.8% to 48.3%. And electorally, the outcome that actually matters, the electoral votes, Donald Trump won 312 to 226. And all of you understand exactly what I'm saying here. But I understand if you had TDS, you had to say something that makes you that gives you some solace for the reality of the situation. I would suggest you buy more into reality, but I'm not Jesus. I can't change everybody. Big Sam said JD Vance and Rubio are not galvanizing. Well, we'll see. Right now, they're playing supporting roles. When they step into the main role, you may see a different version of them. When you're playing a supporting role, you got to play a certain way. Jolyn said Kamala never had a chance. No, Jolyn, she had a chance. She was on the ballot, and she did get 75 million votes. You can't say she didn't have a chance. She got 75 million votes. AA said, wake up. It's about our freedom of speech being diminished. AA, how is your freedom of speech being diminished? Give me 3 ways that your freedom of speech is being diminished. I doubt you can even give me 1, but that's ridiculous. That's a loaded comment, and it's also not true. It's a straw man. Your freedom of speech is not being diminished in any way.
Strawberry cheesecake.
How is your freedom of speech? It doesn't even make sense. Some of y'all just be on here saying anything that maybe you heard on TV, but doesn't. If you thought about it logically for 30 seconds, you couldn't even explain how that makes sense. Carlos said, I'm sure JD's going to be breaking out in 26 and 27. And I think he'll speak up more as it gets closer to the end of Trump's term, or he might not, because he hasn't played a number 2 role. That's his position. You got to play your role. Karina said, Harry, sissy. Yeah, he was in that AI video the White House put out. Jeanette Smith said the protest is more about disagreeing with the way the economy is going. That's my take. Well, that's not what the protest was labeled as. The protest is labeled as no kings, which sounds like a protest of what people are projecting Donald Trump to be. Their projection of Donald Trump, then they argued against that. Now, if it's about the way the economy is going, technically what I would do if that was really what the protest is about is I'd give it a better name so that people knew what it was for. You might have got a whole different group of people to show up. Secondly, if you don't like the way the economy is going, how is protesting going to change it? So if you really believe that's true, how is protesting going to change the economy? I don't think protesting does anything to the economy. And if you protest even in front of government buildings, in front of the politicians, what are they going to do to change the situation? Again, not much. Stefani said Bashir is their only talent. Okay, possibly. Terrell said you got the Florida governor in the pipeline. Oh, Ron DeSantis. Yeah, he had a lot of momentum going into 24 when people thought maybe Trump wouldn't run, or they thought maybe DeSantis would be the number 2 to Trump, but then they bumped heads a few times and that was it. So we'll see what DeSantis does. Big Sam said, "LOL to Ramaswamy." Well, hey, he was in the campaign. He was in. Stephen Albert said AOC is laughable. I take Vivek Ramaswamy could beat AOC. Genghis Khan said all Dems have whiners have no policies. Maybe. Carl said Jeffries comes across as not smart. And Jeffries is too much of a career politician. He's similar to Gavin Newsom but less polished, so he doesn't have a chance. Alex said you don't think JD isn't extreme? I don't think JD is extreme, and he hasn't had a chance to really say what he wants to say yet because again he's in the number 2 spot. Nurse JB said Cory Booker. No way at all. No, not even possible. Cory Booker. He's too old, and he's not presidential. He doesn't have presidential genes. Karina said Don Lemon. Yeah, Don Lemon's out of there. Alex said if Gore was like Trump, he would have won. Well, if anybody was like Trump, they would have won. If somebody's like Michael Jordan, they'd be a good basketball player. Pimp Stye, thanks for the share. Jeannie May said Biden did that for votes. Did what? The Kamala thing? Yeah, probably. You're probably right that he did it for votes. The problem is it wasn't a good move for the long-term sustainability of Democratic power. Justin Hayes, thanks for the follow. Nurse J. Beasley said Al Sharpton. No, he's out of there. Al Sharpton's done. Gen X said Whitney said she's done with politics. Who's Whitney? Or do you mean Whitmer? Who are you talking about? Uncle Keith said you can thank Jim Clyburn for Biden picking Kamala. Well, whoever we think, that was a bad move by Democrats. Big Sam said Kamala and Newsom power team. No, I don't think so. And they're both from California, so I don't think that's even allowed. 2 people from the same state can't be on the ticket. Gen Xer said Whitmer says she's done with politics. Oh, Whitmer. Okay. Stephen Albert said ICE president for Harris will be her school bus driver. So Rick and Martin said a post I saw yesterday said Kamala was going to run with AOC as VP. Yeah, that's not going to work. It's going to fail if they do it. That might happen, Tarek Marin, but they're not going to win. That'd be a bad idea. Oh, he's still a senator? Tim Kaine? Steph Funny said they're more worried about optics than the actual talent. Well, the thing is, somebody with talent has to just show up. I mean, you can control optics. You can't control talent. You can't make somebody have talent. So somebody with talent needs to show up for the Democratic Party. They don't have anybody right now. They need them, though. They better hurry up. Carlos said Walz is a disaster. Minnesota needs better. Well, Minnesota voted for Walz. So I don't like when someone's elected and then people say the people deserve better than the person who got elected. I always push back on that, Carla, because they elected them. So you get what you asked for. All right. Elections have consequences. Joe Lynn said DeSantis will run again. All right, that's possible. He's been kind of quiet. His term as governor down here is about to be done. So maybe he will. You might be right about that. Marky Man said Al Gore was flat on speaking talent. Yes, that's what I heard many people say. I wasn't paying that much attention back then, hardly any attention, but I've heard many people say that. Just B said they'll take back the House. They better hope they take back the House. It depends on what the temperature is around this time next year. Big Sam said that's a good message. Trump out, anything will be better. Well, he's going to be out either way. So, I mean, I don't know if the message is good or bad. It's just reality. George Stevens said, get as far away from identity politics as possible. Bury that stuff in the desert. Well, the thing is, George, it works on a whole lot of people. So if I was a politician, if I knew identity politics would help me win votes, I might use it a little bit. I understand why the Democrats do it. I'm not a fan, but I understand it. McNeely T, thanks for the share. Glow said, Democrats are corrupted. They are divided. But it's the same thing they say on the other side. Michelle said, how about Governor Westmore? He is a talent. Okay, I'll give you that. Governor Westmore is a talent. We'll see if he starts to emerge on the national scene. I mean, he speaks about the local thing. Let's see how much he talks on the national scene. He needs to make his name known enough that in 2028 he has a chance. Now, he's black, right? Westmore is a black guy. He still had to beat Gavin Newsom. I don't know if he's that talented. Gavin Newsom's a pretty good, sharp, polished politician. I don't know if Westmore can beat him for the Democratic nomination. That's going to be a tough one. The only black guy to do it was Barack Obama. to beat all the other Democrats, especially as a black guy, that's going to be tough. But we'll see. Nurse J. Beezy said, I wasted my voting power for too long. I know I'm looking fastidiously. Okay, fair enough. C. Rob said, people vote with their wallets. Yes, if it's about money. People vote with their ballots when it's about politics. Big Sam said, the economy is trash now. Well, depending on how you look at it, you could make that argument, Big Sam. The thing is, it depends on how people are feeling around the time of the election cycle. So whatever's happening at that time is how people vote. Most people don't have these long-term ways of looking at things. Carlos said, we need to get rid of those election machines. I don't know if that's going to happen. Joe Wynn said, I voted for my grandchildren and so on. Fair enough. Terrell, thanks for the follow. Quay said, I'm in college, struggle to pay my rent, and I run track with NIL, and it went up $500. Your rent went up $500? Where you go to college? How did your rent go up $500? $500 a month or $500 for the whole semester? Keith Sawyer, thanks for the follow. Jeanette said, you are trying to payroll, you should be. What does that mean? Von J, thanks for the follow. DMZ said, no talent. Yes. Big Sam said, anti-MAGA. It's fair if you want to be anti-MAGA. User 986, Big Pots, Tanya Taylor, thanks for the follows. Kat, thanks for the follow. We said the soundboard is going to be busy. Yeah, we use it a little bit. Robbie, thanks for the follow. Just be saying emotional damage. Jeanette said, I'm on the Trump payroll. Jeanette, really?
Strawberry cheesecake.
Quali Bussy said, why is living so high right now? My rent shot up. You on YouTube and TikTok? You said, I know it's not my place, but honestly, just want to understand what's behind all this. Typing this on the way to practice right now. You're in Arizona, and your rent went up. Is it $500 a month, $500 a semester? And what do you mean? As far as the prices going up, well, I don't think prices are going back down. I think they're going to stay up for a while. Only way prices are going down is if we get some type of economic disaster like 2008 all over again. Y'all remember 2008? Those of you old enough to remember 2008. If you're willing to go through that again, then prices will go down. If you don't want to go through that again, then prices ain't going down. That's the way I see it. AA said a lot of media influencers are there. What was Jeanette was saying? I'm on Trump's payroll. If I'm on Trump's payroll, Jeanette, please tell me where they sent the money. I didn't get it. Marky Mark said, I'm not sure the Republicans are being cocky because the elections are viewed and considered different. What I'm saying is don't get cocky and thinking that the Democrats can't win. That's what I'm saying. Von J, thanks for the share. Leah, yes, thank you for telling people to send a heart. AA said a lot of media influencers are paid for. Charlie Kirk is a good example. Well, Charlie Kirk had a grassroots organization. He had his own organization. And he did take in donor money, but it was a 501c3. When I say paid influencers, I'm not talking like that. I'm talking paid influencers who are just individual people. They get paid by Democratic controlled organizations to post certain things in social media. Charlie Kirk was on a higher level than that. He was bigger than that. Duty Bug said the radical liberals have totally destroyed their party. Maybe. Nurse J. Beezy says Chicago, everyone's an immigrant. What does that mean? Nathan Don says 68 seconds. Thanks for the timing. Jeannie May, good morning. Click said, remigrate. Carla said, I have more faith in we the people waking up to Democrat Party schemes than Dre. Well, I think there's a bunch of Democrats who will always vote Democrat no matter what happens. That's the way I see it. They've been conditioned to do so. People my parents' age just vote Democrat all the time. Nothing's going to happen that's going to make them vote Republican, especially for Donald Trump or anybody who is connected to Donald Trump. That's not happening. A few more comments here, folks. We might go a little bit overtime here today, if y'all don't mind. I usually get done by 10 o'clock, but I talked long today, so I may go a little bit overtime. Jolene said, I want my grandchildren to have a safe, bright future. That won't happen under a weak Democrat. You might be right. TC Nola said, we don't have two sides that are working together. On many things they are. Tony G, thanks for the follow. Nurse J. Beezy said, term limits or voting grabs. Yeah, but term limits had to be voted for either by all the states and or by Congress itself. And they'd be the ones getting fired. John said, Biden could have picked AOC. They would have had a better chance. I don't think AOC was ready in 2020. I don't think she's ready now. K. Noor, 67, good morning. Big Sam says, hilarious people say that they will not vote one way or the other. It kind of is, Big Sam, but at the same time, it's not. because, as I just said, there's a bunch of people indoctrinated to only vote Democrat or only Republican no matter what. I'll say about 90% of voters fit that description. Go said Tulsi Gabbard is a good candidate for the Democratic Party. I don't know. After working in Trump's cabinet, you think they'll let her back in? Big Sam said, I vote policy. I voted Republican and I have voted Democrat. Okay, fair enough. So you're in the 10% who can go either way. Marky Mark says, my observation, the Democratic Party doesn't have a plan. Well, they don't have a plan. So you're right. You're right about that. Jerry Garcia says, still hard to be a citizen. 4 and 5 do it legally. Yeah, so there's a lot of paperwork, red tape, and waiting. Joanne said, I'm all about a world with law and order, not a world of chaos. Me too. Michael Anthony James, thanks for the follow. Carla says, the MAGA movement, we the people want to take care of our nation first. They don't get that. They get it, Carla. These people are not dumb. They get it that it's about taking care of the nation first, but people are saying, why not let other people in? Take care of our nation and let people in. So they're saying yes, and we also want this. Whereas people on the MAGA side are saying, period. Not and, but period. We're going to take care of the people here, and we're not going to focus on bringing others in until we get the people who are already here in the right space. And if you ask me which one do I agree with the latter argument. Help the people who are already here because we're a country of citizens. And if the citizens are not in a good space, how the hell are we taking in people who are not even citizens yet and giving them shit, and we ain't even helping the people out who are already here? Just B said, you're not counting non-Trump and non-Harris votes. You are correct. I'm not counting them because between the two of them, this is damn near all the votes. 49.8 plus 48.3. So what is that? 1.7% plus, that's literally 1.9% of the votes. Just B is anybody other than Trump. 1.9% of all votes. And they don't matter because they had no chance. They got 0 electoral votes. So we don't even have to talk about them. Junior said, what happened in Chicago is not chaos. Well, what part of what happened in Chicago are you talking about? Chris Scales, thanks for the share. Cindy T, thanks for the follow. Kay Noor said, what do I think is AOC's future? I think she can move up in the Democratic Party. Compare her to Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett's going nowhere. She's staying exactly where she's at. AOC could possibly run for a Senate seat, and she could also become just the leader of the Democratic Party, like get into a higher role where she has more say in what happens, and she's helping shape the future of the party. I see her as a possible Nancy Pelosi. She has the potential of doing that. She can move up. Harris, thanks for the share. Jeanette said, a lot of issues on the down ballot that are unexplained. I agree with that. Stefani said, trying to make those who don't march with the No Kings feel weak. That's what I think. Well, of course they want to do that. They want you to get in or out. Kara J. Fetter, thanks for the follow. Just B said, I want to sound, do me next. Your math ain't mathing. All right, so Just B is looking for a sound. Let's give him, which one should we give him? Let's give him this one.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Okay. There you go, Just B. You got it. TY Galaxy, thanks for the follow. Dolly Triple O, Paul, Black Weasel, thanks for the follows. Brooke, Martella Romanico, thank you for the heart. Black Weasel, thanks for the share. Chris said, Burger King, Crown, True, Crown, LOL. Carlos said, we need a sound for SYAD. Sit your ass down. Yeah, I don't know if we got a sound for that. Yeah, we don't have a sound for that one. I'll have to look around for that later. Big Sam said he is consolidating power. He has made multiple attempts that have been shot down in court. How? Consolidating power how? Give me some examples of what he's done to say he's consolidating power. Leah, thank you for the super popular member level 25. Congrats. Karina said people just listen to sound bites from their favorite Democrats. This is true. People on the Republican side do that too, though. Joe Wynn said he's a very strong leader. Exactly what I voted for. Fair enough. One thing about Trump is at least you get what he tells you he's going to give you. That thing, I think we can all agree with Trump. He does what he says he's going to do. It's just people hear different things. That's the thing. Just B said a fact is a fact. Stick to facts and you'll be fine. Are you giving me advice here?
Oh, I like your funny words, Magic Man.
A fact is not a good argument, Just B, because facts can be taken out of context. Facts can be ignored and or utilized based on expediency for the person who is trying to make a point. So I can give you some facts that serve my argument while ignoring facts that disprove that same argument while they're both all facts. So if you only stick to facts, you can pick and choose facts. You can tick, let's say there are 10 true facts about a situation. I give you 7 of those facts because those 7 facts support me. I ignore the 3 facts that disprove me. And I can say, hey, I just gave you the facts. So sticking to facts is not good advice. So you should reconsider that position.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
What you need is facts in context. When you get all the facts in full context, that's when you get the truth, which is what you should stick to. Not facts, but the truth. Big Sam said he's following Project 2025, which is based on Dark Enlightenment. Well, that's straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Straw man, Big Sam, is that you said is based on this Dark Enlightenment. Now, is he following Project 2025? That's also a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Because never once has Trump said he's following Project 2025. So just because you say he is, that's a projection.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
So you got two straw mans and that projection all in the same comment. So you get the first Russell Westbrook triple-double award of the day.
Oh, baby, a triple! Oh, yeah!
3 fallacies in the same statement. Congratulations, Big Sam. Chris said landslide. Chris Scales, thank you for the share. K. Norris said, what do you think is AOC's future? I already answered that one. What I think is Kamala's future? I think Kamala could win another. She could win something, but I think she has ambition. She's like Joe Biden. She's an ambitious person. I don't see Kamala going back into Congress. I think she could win a congressional seat if she tried. I don't think she wants to. I think she wants to run for president again. I think she's going to run for president again, and I don't think she's going for anything lower than that. That's what I think. DM0 said JD Vance 2028. Right now, he'd be the person. Carl said, I'm not Jesus. I can't change everybody. Yes, that's what I said. Vintage Toy Gallery said, did Obama get pushed back for deporting so many? No. Big Sam said, if you're unfamiliar with the Dark Enlightenment, then you clearly do not know what's happening. That's a, what do you want to give you for that? That's a straw man again.
Strawberry cheesecake.
So your argument here is that you know something everybody else doesn't know, and that people don't understand the same thing you understand, and clearly they're just not as smart as you, and they don't see things as clearly as you do. And that's a Socratic trap is really what you're doing there.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
So congratulations again. Christy said, can Trump run again? No, he can't run again. Trump's not running again. Joe Lynn said, we need to bring God back to our homes, get out of these streets, and be strong leaders for the young. Well, that starts in the home. That's not a political thing. Karina said, just trying to justify their protesting. It's only been 9 months. How is it about the economy? Well, it could be about the economy. It's just that argument that protest is about the economy is not a true one. People could be mad about the economy, but that protest was no kings. That was about what people are claiming Donald Trump's trying to do and just arguing against Donald Trump. Nobody protests about the economy. Kevin Ryan said, people have a hard time being wrong. The worldview is so false, perpetual cognitive dissonance. Well, see, people on every side of the argument say that about the people on the other side. Michelle said, why didn't they protest the economy under Biden? It was pretty bad because nobody protests the economy. So whoever made that comment that protest is about the economy, it just wasn't a true protest. I mean, that wasn't a true argument. Big Sam said, no kings is symbolic. It's meant to recall the U.S. does not have monarchs. Yes, that is what it's meant to do. The problem is there are no monarchs. So what are you arguing against? You're fighting against a ghost. That's the whole issue. Gary Gray said, I wonder how many of these protesters actually go to local town meetings. Probably none. JD said, what about JD being at Epstein while in college? What does that mean? Chris says, Stephen A. Smith. No, he's not doing anything. Take it right up with time. Thanks for the reposts. Concentrated or unchecked executive power. Big Sam, that's not possible in the United States of America because we have a system of checks and balances. So there's no way to have unchecked executive power. It's not possible for it to exist. So people are arguing that that's what's happening while at the same time the system of checks and balances still exists. So how is he having unchecked power? It doesn't even add up for people to even make that argument. Brandy, thanks for the follow. Exo Clodeville said, what about Byron Donalds? Byron Donalds is on the right. I don't think he's moving up. Right now, I think he's going to stay about where he is, Byron Donalds. Quay, thank you for the lightning bolt. TX Trump Babe, good morning. Big Sam said, millions of people from multiple states. Christy Krill said, can Trump run in 2028? He has not had 2 consecutive terms. And you can just have 2 terms total, not consecutive, just 2 terms, period. Big Sam said they are protesting perceptions of executive overreach as the federal military force. The perception, yes. Actually, you're right. They are protesting the perception. And that perception has been fueled by the Democrats. And the problem with it, and this is what the whole thesis of my live has been here today, Big Sam, is that perception is a nonsense perception, all designed to get them excited so that they go and continue supporting the Democrats. The problem is you're only talking to the 40% who are going to vote Democrat anyway. So you're not actually achieving anything. It's a waste of energy. That's what I'm saying. So what you're saying is correct, but what's the point? Big Sam said aggressive immigrant enforcement. You're supposed to enforce it. You're supposed to enforce the laws. They're enforcing immigration laws, not just immigration, but immigration laws. We have laws on the books that have been on the books for immigration. And if you're aggressively enforcing it, that's what you're supposed to do. It's the reason why we have law enforcement. There's nothing wrong with that. Just B said you're way behind on comments. Yeah, it was a million comments in here. What do you want? What do you want me to do? Big Sam said threats to democratic norms, free speech, independent judiciary, checks and balances. He's not threatening any of those things. So those are all straw men.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Jenny May said, what do I think about the governor from Kentucky, Bashar? I haven't heard him talk enough. Bashir, I haven't heard him talk enough to have an opinion. Jeanette said we need term limits on these people. That I agree with. I think all of Congress should have term limits. The problem is for Congress to get term limits, they must vote for their own term limits. Muda said people vote based off hate too. You're right. People vote for a lot of different reasons. Thanks for the follows, Muda and Exo Clodeville. John said Biden could have picked AOC. They would have had a better chance. I don't think so. Linda Morris, thanks for the follow. Bench 600, thanks for the follow. Jeanette said, I love strawberry cheesecake. All right, yeah, I'll give you a slice.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Steph Funny said, Bashir's running slogan is being a governor that's pro-LGBT, so he's just trying to get the... I didn't know that. See, I haven't heard him talk enough. I don't know enough about the guy. Lynn, Louise, and Chris, thanks for the follows. I'll do a few more. We'll go about 10 more minutes here, folks, then we'll wrap up because I got a call at 11 o'clock and I need to eat lunch first. Jeanette said, the prices aren't going down. They need to increase the wages at work. Well, that sounds like a good idea. Where's the money coming from? Jeanette, where's that money coming from to increase the wages at work? In a perfect world, you got it right. Jeffrey said, Trump's won 3 times the force of nature. I can't even touch that one. I get what you're saying, though. Big Sam said, organizers claim over 7 million people participated across the U.S. I heard that, too. My response to that is, so what? 7 million people who already vote Democrat. Chris said, housing market crashed in 08. Remember that. Yeah, everybody who was around remembers it. We remember it very well. Gas was damn near $5. Take a ride with Tom says, some people hate the fact that you're speaking 100% truth. Well, thank you. Yes, Harry is a paid influencer. Margie LaFlamme, thanks for the share. Pele, thanks for the follow. I don't know what Byron Donalds could do next. Jeanette said, Trump said you never had to vote again. No, he didn't say that. That's out of context. Cut it out.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay?
That was pulled out of context from a full sentence. Jeanette, you know that was pulled out of context. Don't do that. It's 2025, Jeanette. The election's over. Y'all still using this stuff? See, this is what I mean. That's an example right there. Chris Moretta, thanks for the share. Just B said majority is 50 plus 1%. He didn't get, no, he got the majority of voters. That's why I said in context, the majority of voters, not a majority. Just B, what you said is a majority is more than 50%. The majority is in the context of who was participating. Vance Rubio 2028. That's what we've heard so far. Oh yeah, Just B, you've been campaigning to get these, so now you got another one. Just B, congrats on collecting another award. Steph Funny, thanks for the follow. Debbie Campbell, thanks for the follow. Lazor, thanks for the follow. Marky Man said AOC Speaker of the House. She might be. That could happen. Take a Ride said, keep speaking facts, I'll support you. Well, I appreciate it. Katie says the SYAD would be so great. I got to look it up. I don't want to play sounds here because sometimes it's like copyrighted sounds and I'll get warnings. So I got to do it off camera. Watson said, love your videos. You're very wise. Thank you. I agree. Jeanette says, is it possible Trump could have Alzheimer's? I've heard that rumor. Jeanette, really? You running out of material here? He got my lighter, said, damn, I missed a straw man today. No, you didn't. I just did one. Nora said, I'm sorry, I had a phone call. What do I think is Kamala's future? I think she's ambitious and she's going to run for president again. I don't think she's looking for anything less. Brittany said, what time to start? About 8 a.m. Eastern, so 5 a.m. on the West Coast. If you're Pacific time, I start 5 a.m. on the West Coast. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern is when I do the lives normally. I'm usually done by 10. I went overtime today because I talked about in my monologue. TX Trump said, Trump Babe says, proving he has nothing to do with Project 2025. LOL. Well, the thing is, there may have been things in the project that he actually did. That doesn't mean that he's following the project. So that becomes semantics with Project 2025. So Project 2025 says enforce immigration rules, and then he enforces immigration rules. Is he following Project 2025? Not necessarily. It's like if I say, hey, wake up tomorrow morning, and then you wake up tomorrow morning. Are you following my instructions, or were you going to wake up anyway? So that's just become semantics. This whole thing of people with Project 2025. Big Sam said, and here, case in point, he does not have to say he is. You can simply read Project 2025. You can see he is following it. No, Big Sam, that's bullshit. That's not true.
Strawberry cheesecake.
That's a straw man. I'd be like if I said to you, hey, Big Sam, make sure you go to work tomorrow. And then you go to work tomorrow. Does that mean you're following Dre's instructions? Or were you going to go to work anyway? So just because he's doing something that Project 2025 mentioned does not mean he's doing it because Project 2025 told him to do it. That's the semantics game. And Big Sam, I think you're smart enough to understand that. So see, this is the nonsense that the people on the political left are doing. And this is the reason why people are not believing him right now. Brandy B said, if you ran for office, you had my vote all day. So I've been gathering these votes from those of you watching here on TikTok. I still need a couple million more if I ever would have a chance to win anything. So thank you. Watson, thanks for the share. Just B, thanks for the follow. Carla said, I need to congratulations on a triple-double. Just B, appreciate you. Leah, thank you for telling people with the hand hearts. We had 181,000 likes. Can we get to 200K in the next 5 minutes, folks? I got to wrap this up after that. Watson, yes, I'm on YouTube at Dre All Day. My YouTube name is Dre All Day, or click the link in my profile. It's in there. Big Sam said, staffing choices align with Project 2025. No, that's not good enough. That doesn't prove anything. Lakeisha, thank you for the follow. Tina said, can we run till 11 today? No, because I have a call at 11. I need to eat lunch between now and then. Big Sam said, nearly 2/3 of Trump's early executive orders. Again, these are things he might have been doing anyway. People on Project 2025 are not just random people in the street. They know what's going on in politics. So the fact that there's alignment between the two does not prove that he's doing it because of that. You're confusing correlation with causation. Karina said Byron is your next governor. He might be. Oh, yeah, he might run locally. So Byron Donalds is local governor. I wouldn't be mad at that. I heard him on the Breakfast Club. He sounded pretty good. Now, he did say something dumb, though, when that guy who's banned from TikTok, whose name I can't say, he was here, and Ron DeSantis said, we're going to open an investigation, and Byron Donalds co-signed it. I did not like that at all. But other than that, I've liked the things I've heard from him. A few more comments here, folks, then we got to go. John says, so y'all saying that Trump follows Project 2025 while Democrats follow Project 2030? Again, people could make these arguments all the time. Jeanette said, what's going on with the farmers? I don't know what you're talking about. I am Lisa said, you're so very wrong. About what? He got my lighter, said J.B. Pritzker probably going to run for president next term. Okay, he's possible. I don't think he can beat Newsom, though. I think Newsom got the inside track right now. Adams Dasme said, AIDS limits. We shouldn't have people that are on their last minutes deciding our future. That one's going to be tougher. Term limits, I get. AIDS limits is going to be harder to get. Nora said, have you seen Mitch McConnell and Nancy P. Walk recently need term limits? Yeah, they're both old and they're both washed and out of the game. I saw Mitch McConnell fall the other day when he just fell just walking. So, yeah, he should be out of there. He should be sitting with Joe Biden on the beach. Mother Zandy, thanks for the follow. Big Sam said it is. Curtis Yarvin, Peter Thiel. I call him Peter Yarvin. Okay. Karen Moyer, thanks for the follow. User 8300, thanks for the follow. Big Sam said Trump is following what Project 2025 recommends. You're mixing causation and correlation. False. Straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Straw man. Tethys said, I paid $2.34 per gallon of gas in Texas. When? Today? In 2008? In 2008, I was paying twice that. Big Sam said, all right, Big Sam, we get the line you're trying to draw between 2025 and what he's doing, but none of these are proving it. Sue Smith said it's not that simple, Dre. What's not that simple? What are you referring to? Mike J, thanks for the follow. Carolyn said tired of Big Sam. No, we want Big Sam in here because he offers a counterpoint. We want the disagreement here, folks. So moderators, we welcome disagreement. Because if with no disagreement, then I can't use my soundboard. If all y'all disagreeing with me, then the soundboard has no use. All right, so we have the soundboard because we have people who disagree. All right, so we want disagreement. I'm open to disagreement. If you come on here, you talk about things that not everybody agrees with. You got to be willing to deal with the detractors and the people who push back. I'm willing to deal with the people who push back because that actually makes your argument stronger and it proves that you know what you're talking about. Big Sam said Project 2030 was not a bad plan. It does not destroy democracy. Oh, Big Sam, that's a weak argument.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
So you're connecting Trump with Project 2025 in a negative way because you think Project 2025 is bad. But because you like Project 2030, you say is okay because it's not doing bad things. That's your argument? No, that's a weak one.
Emotional, damn it.
So you're going off your personal feelings on each project as to whether they're being followed or not. But your whole argument, all those comments you posted was about, oh, well, Trump's doing it. It says this in the program and he's doing it. It says this, and he's doing it. So your argument was it's bad because he's following the plan. But now you just expose yourself by saying because you like Project 2030, it's okay to follow a project as long as you like it. Now, that's an emotional argument.
Emotional, damn it.
So you get we got to come up with the Lauryn Hill Award. The Lauryn Hill Award is the person who gets the most awards in a day. So Big Sam, you got the most awards. I call it the Lauryn Hill Award because I remember when she put out her album, she won all those Grammy Awards that she could barely hold them in her arms. So you get the Lauryn Hill Award today, Big Sam. We don't have a sound for the Lauryn Hill Award, but you got it. Congratulations. All right, we're going to wrap this up in a second, folks. Louise said, I live in an agricultural area. Farmers are hurting and losing farms due to tariffs. Trump going to help. I don't know about that, Lynn Louise. I think costs are going to continue to go up. And I understand that farmers can get in trouble based on decisions that the government makes. And I don't know if there's a solution to that. I'm a city guy, so there's not much more I can tell you about that. I don't think Trump's going to do anything necessarily that's going to stop the bleeding for everybody. I think some will get help and some won't. And in business, it kind of goes that way. That's the best I can tell you. Big Sam said, "Get yourself to strawberry cheesecake." No, you got it because you just expose yourself, Big Sam. That's what I just explained how you expose yourself. You like Project 2030, so it's okay to follow it, but you don't like Project 2025, so it's not okay to follow it. That's an emotional argument. You make an argument based on what you personally like, not on policy positions, which is what you claimed it was. You claimed it was a policy thing, but then you expose yourself for it being a personal preference. So we hit 200K, everybody. Thank you for helping me get 200K. Thank you to the regulars. Thank you to the new people. Thanks to my moderators. Thanks for the supporters. Thanks to those of you coming here consistently. Thanks for the detractors who didn't like the things that I said. If you did like it, congrats. If you just watched and you didn't say anything, congrats to you as well. I know there's a bunch of you watching who are not leaving comments. I appreciate all of you. The replays to this are always on my YouTube channel. The YouTube link is in my profile. Get a free copy of my book called The Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. This book is all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it. Any of you have those days at work when you don't really feel like being at work, but you have to work anyway? That's what this book is about. How do you show up and perform and give your best effort on those days? I'll give you this book free. Just cover the shipping. ThirdDayBook.com. Spell it out. Third Day and the word book.com. The book's free. Just cover the shipping. I like giving stuff away for free. Get this book free. ThirdDayBook.com. Make sure you text me. The number is in my bio. Text the word power to learn more about my power presence protocol, how to have command of the room so that your selling, your persuasion, your influence is all done before you open your mouth. That's at 305-384-6894. Text me the word power. I got to go eat lunch before I get on this call, everybody. Appreciate all you being here on this Monday. I will see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. The topic to be determined. We are going to get around to, maybe we'll get around to this John Bolton getting indicted. That's a guy from one of Trump's enemies who got himself indicted. So, of course, people are going to go at Trump for that. So, we're going to get at that. Sonoma Buzz over there on Instagram. Good morning. Good to see you. I will see everybody tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Everybody have a great Monday. Work on your game. We out of here.